Sound check. Can everybody hear?
Can you repeat that?
You heard. Okay. Thank you.
It was just a little garbled. I just wanted you to recheck it.
Yeah. Okay. How is it now? Oh. Happy birthday on Saturday. I'm so sad.
Oh, 93?
7.
97? When did that happen?
That's how old Dick Van Dyke is. Did you see him sing last night?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he was on The Mask singer. 97 years old. And he sang and nobody knew who he was.
Was he dancing?
No, he was in a gnome. He was in a gnome costume. And then when he came up, when they had him take his thing off, he goes, I'm going to sing Supercalifragilistic. And he did a dance. It was really cool. Everybody was crying. He goes, I'm 97 and I still got it.
He does too.
Yeah.
He's what you would call a real entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
And my cup Adam gave me,
I like it.
one of the plumbers gave him it. Everybody can read that little advertisement there. They'll see the deer. See? And is having coyote problems out at their house,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
coming right up to the house. And
they have chickens.
no, not yet.
Oh,
But you hear them all the time now, where when they first moved in out there, they, every once in a while. This is all the time. And they're afraid just to let Dolly out.
mhm,
Or, they let the cat out
mhm.
and she comes back in, but now they can't do that because you never know. I helped them because they're not out there just like that. Video cams and stuff. And they are coming right up to the house. So I don't know about them. Like house. So if you have take care of it. And the pelts and stuff aren't worth anything. So, that's not why he does it. He travels all over the country for different events and stuff. So they actually have competitions and things. He's actually developed his own,
It's actually gotten more, it's on the build up right now because we deal with them and 37 times a year. Within the last couple of weeks, so quite a bit. And it's on the build now. Yeah. And so
everything
it'll
goes in the
come
thing.
back. Yeah.
So,
And it's the beginning. It's like right now.
yeah,
Well, last year before we had a lot of rabbits and stuff.
yeah.
So now the coyotes have built up and pretty soon.
Because
the
they had a
rabbits
food
will be
supply,
gone,
yeah.
Food supply.
Yeah.
We're on the buildup right now.
Do you remember that one time where,
It's just gonna get worse.
where I posted that picture of the coyote, the dead coyote on my front porch? Do you remember that years ago? And I told everybody it came in through the dog door.
Oh.
It didn't come in through the dog.
I'm pretty keen on that fact.
It could have though, you know, 'cause our fence in the backyard is high, but the hill behind it, there's about a,
Higher.
yeah, there's about a 2.5 foot gap between the hill and the backyard fence. But an animal wanted to, they could jump over it.
Oh, especially if there was something in there they wanted to eat.
Yeah, I don't think they want my dogs.
No, they don't.
Good luck there.
I guess we have an aggressive bear on Cook Road.
Yeah, we
I know, I
do.
heard that.
He just hangs out. He hangs on
He
a,
woke up
on
a
a
couple
porch.
weeks ago and was kind of groggy. The DNR's been out at least once. And they were hopeful he would go back to sleep, but actually he's, or she, I don't know if it's, has woken right up.
Well, we had one on Bunker Hill. Remember, it
he's
was in my
hungry.
front yard for 2.5 hours
Yeah,
and not going anywhere. Found the
They like
marshmallows.
our backyard. I'll tell you that.
You can't even put your
without
bird
the-
feeders.
Yeah, even without the bird feeders. One was a female and one was a man.
Mine was a cub. We named him Cubby.
clever. Yeah, definitely original.
Oh, yeah.
Would have never thought of that.
I didn't know it was a cub though. He looked pretty big. DNR officer told us how you can tell if it's still a juvenile. If the ears are big,
Really?
that means the head hasn't grown into the size of the ears yet.
Huh.
He looked like a big bear to me, but showing him the pictures, he said, no, that's a cub.
I'll be darned.
Really? This guy's gonna be a monster then. Hey, did you see that video on Facebook about that bear breaking down somebody's door? and right in?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God.
I saw that. That was
That's
scary.
not a black bear. Oh.
Mm.
Oh, I'm gonna mute my phone. Y'all invited to mute your phones now.
Is it, I hope it's not for lunch here. Okay,
I'm hoping the
Just
post
saying.
office stay in business.
You ordered through Amazon.
I ordered through. I do order online more than I go into Traverse.
I mean,
have you seen the big buildings right downtown across from where Grand Traverse Auto used to be?
Yes.
The huge apartment complex?
Oh,
No
yeah.
wonder there was such a ruckus about it, you know,
Uh,
3-4 years ago.
You know, when you looked at the plans they showed, you couldn't imagine
I know.
how massive those buildings really are. And they sit right on the bank of the Boardman. Right on the bank. You and I want to put a house right there on the bank of the Boardman? No way.
Exactly, right? And then, what was it? Terrace apartments or something like
They
that?
look
right behind it?
tiny.
They look tiny and you can see why those people are gonna be looking right into each other's windows.
Uh-huh. Well,
I
the
don't think
terrace
there's
apartment
50
thing,
feet
though, is
between the
old-
two
is,
buildings.
Elderly apartments.
yes, but it's like that.
Yeah. So it's a low income based on your income
Is it?
type apartment. Yeah, but remember when it was the only thing down there? It seemed like such a big building.
Mhm.
It was huge. I loved going to visit my grandma and my niece. And then you could see out over the bay. And I'm like, oh my, wow, this is beautiful. And she just thought, what?
Okay, it's water. It's nothing to get excited about.
It was so cool. when you could- oh, McDonald's is open when it first opened. Over on West Bay. It is now
Yeah.
closed.
State Street's now two-way again.
Yeah.
It looks like they're probably gonna leave it that way.
I don't ever remember it being two-way.
They said it was.
Oh,
at
I
one
do.
point. And a little while ago, when they were
When I
doing
first
all that
moved up there, it was
construction on the
two-way.
bridges, they opened it up as a two-way.
Don't remember that. Well, according to my clock, it's 9 o'clock. Heidi, are you ready?
Yep.
Sheriff?
Yep.
Ardella?
Yep.
Don?
Yes.
Lois? Okay, so we will call this special meeting to order at 9 a.m. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see we have quite a number of folks on Zoom, and we already have a couple of hands up. So just getting this out of the way early. If you have questions and you're out in Zoom, please raise your hand and we will call on you. Okay, so roll call when ready.
Goss, here, Bennett. Here. Pop,
Here.
Glenn,
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Any adjustments to the agenda today? I have one with the board's approval. We got some last minute emails late last night, and I've forwarded them to all board members this morning with respect to a long awaited legal opinion. And so I would just like to discuss what potential special meeting we could add that legal opinion to that's upcoming. So, is
That's
that
fine.
okay?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Gerald, are you good with that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to call that business item number 2, set date for legal opinion review. Thank you. All right, any conflicts of interest this morning? Okay, there's no public here in the township hall, so we will move out into Zoom. And good morning, Vicky. I see your hand up.
Good morning to all of you. I apologize for the background noise. I want to thank you all for your efforts. I look forward to this being a productive meeting. It was interesting listening to Ron and Ardella talk about some of the development that's going on in other areas. Keep that in mind when we're looking at what we're doing, excuse me, with our township. And I will forward you an article that was done recently about an area similar to ours. But anyway, this is a huge undertaking for our township. And I am hoping that you all will be the fiduciaries that we have elected you to be, to make sure that this is done properly. I want to make sure that we have a plan in place of who will be overseeing this project to make sure that it doesn't go off rails. My biggest concern is the impact this will have on the environment and neighboring properties. I truly believe that the boat wash should be the most important item to consider, and let's help keep our area beautiful. I also wanted to ask, with the increase in obviously boat traffic, including trucks and cars pulling trailers, will anything be discussed about the road condition getting there? If we are going to do it, let's get it done properly. And I'm glad that we have some input from Eagle, because again, the environment is most important. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good morning, Connie Highmore.
Good morning, Connie Highmore. Once again, quite troubling that the agenda for this meeting is not on the agenda and minutes page of the website. Quite difficult for some people to find the meeting. The boat ramp project is a big one. We're counting on you, our elected officials, to keep this project on time and within budget. The ramp is in dire need of improvement for safety reasons too, for boaters and residents and visitors to our community. But just as important is protecting our lakes. The boat wash station is key. We cannot continue to turn a blind eye to invasive species entering this chain of lakes. We need to do our part in protecting the waters that all of us have come to enjoy. If any of these bids attempt to cut corners or adjust the scope of work because of budget, they cannot put any aspect of the boat wash station in jeopardy. My family has been enjoying these lakes for over 20 years. We have recently noticed a difference in the bottom of the lake with a rusty orange tint in some areas. Not sure what's going on, but we'll be asking questions to find out if this is a danger to lake species or humans. Please make sure steps are taken at Whitewater Township Park ramp to lead the way in protecting our waterways. The boat wash station is imperative. Thank you so much. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. Good morning, Linda Slopesma.
Good morning. I sent you all a brief memo yesterday, and Linda Slopesma, Township resident. I'm a riparian owner, and I'm a board member at Elk Skagamog Lake Association. I attended your meeting last week, and the key things I think we all need to remember to set the stage for this meeting today is we have the $200,000 Michigan Waterways matching grant in order to do this expansion of the boat launch. We have $200,000 committed in township funds to match that grant. And we have a $20,000 grant from the Grand Traverse Band for the boat wash specifically. That's the funding that I'm aware of, totaling $420,000. In the discussion last week, most of the discussion focused on Mulan Excavating as the lowest bidder for the project. There was discussion that they had bid $461,000 for the boat launch and basic site work, and that we could add a fourth ramp for another $39,000, bringing us up just to about exactly $500,000. There was also a lot of discussion about the alternate bid C, which was the actual boat washing equipment. And there was a lot of discussion, no decisions, but discussion of putting that boat wash on hold pending additional funding, and no timing established for that funding. As a reminder, the Elk Skagamog Lake Association also provided an alternate cost estimate for a pressurized water wash for $25,000 instead of $40,000, which would save you about $15,000. So as I reviewed this information, it occurred to me that, so it looks like our project's about $100,000 over budget. And I'm putting a question mark on that to say, you guys need to, identify if that's correct or incorrect. And certainly the question is how will the additional funding be allocated for this project? I'm also concerned about, there wasn't discussion about, the money we've already spent on the project from Fleece and Vandenbrink. There's been engineering costs. There was discussion about possibly hiring a project manager, which would also be some additional costs that hasn't been identified. And then I think Cheryl Goss brought up that contingency costs were not included in any of the bids. And we know that things always happen in projects of this scale. So one thing I think we need to address is, do we really need that fourth ramp for $39,000? Data provided by Clerk Goss last summer showed an average of 57 boats a day in the month of July. No specific data was supplied on peak weekend boat counts. There was discussion about backups, et cetera, on peak weekends. And one question I would pose is, have you considered something different than a fourth ramp, such as adding extra staff to help facilitate boat launch and retrieval on peak boating days? Many lakes do that kind of thing during holidays in the summer. So kind of switching gears, I would like to remind you all that the township is the largest riparian owner on the lake and is operating a large public boat launch. Therefore, the township has primary duty to prevent invasives, which would further damage the lake quality by making sure you provide a boat wash facility concurrently with expanding the ramp. We have had a boat wash in this plan for this project since 2019, and I have never heard anybody from the board say they didn't support having a boat wash as part of the project. Paddle Antrim right now is acquiring funding for a pressurized water wash at Rotary Park up in Elk Rapids. A high pressure water wash is considered more effective to remove invasives than pressurized air, and it is less expensive. That has been demonstrated to you. The tribal officials and biologists understand the urgent need for a boat wash and therefore have provided you with a grant that would cover about 80% of the estimated cost of the pressurized wash. So at the end of the day, here's my question. What can ESLA do to keep the boat wash in the plan for 2023? You need to be asking us if you need some sort of help. Our board believes we can no longer put critical environmental threats on the back burner for new projects such as this. I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, GTB. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Carol Ann Sonderegger. I am the department manager for Grand Traverse Band Natural Resources. I just wanted to reiterate what mostly everybody else is saying about the boat washing station. It was back in 2021 that the tribe received a request for funds from Whitewater Township for these improvements in this plan. The boat launch was in that, and our tribal council supported that request, as this is a very good thing for our membership exercising our treaty rights and for the community at large. Of course, our concern is with the boat washing station being nixed out of the plan because of cost. And much like everybody else is saying, AIS prevention is extremely important. And from a cost perspective, the invasive species control is a lot more costly than preventative measures that can be taken. The Lake Leelanau Association itself has just spent about half $500,000 to combat the AIS in their lake, and it's just now starting to approach the containment. So I guess we would like to see that the township do the due diligence to ensure that all preventative measures are being taken. I think that is pretty much the gist of, and our natural resources opinion. So just, we would like for you to take that into consideration too.
Thank you. Can we get the correct spelling of your last name, please?
Oh, yeah, I'll change it on my profile or on my name here.
Okay, we'll pick it up from there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wishing to comment this morning? Seeing none, I will move into our first business item.
You're not doing township hall? What if I want to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did Township Hall
I'm sorry,
first.
but yeah, I know, but you
Okay,
didn't
all right.
notice,
So
I have a comment.
apparently there's people in the Township Hall that wish to make public comment. Okay, welcome.
Heidi Valmuth, private citizen, fisherman. And one of the reasons why I came here was because we have the most beautiful lakes around. I've fished in mucky water. I've stood in quicksand dirt on the bottom to swim. If you start reading your fishing magazine in 2017, you will find out that they started to tell you about a law that was coming. Wash your boat. Do not transport a watercraft without removing all drain plugs and draining water from the villages, basilisk tanks, and live wells. Do not release unused bait into the water. Do not move fish or fish parts from one body to another. There also are about 10 more items in the fishing book. It's in the middle of the book, along with telling you all the other things that you can and cannot do when you're fishing. But here's the problem. Where'd all the whitefish go? And it wasn't Rodney's fault for catching them all. You have fishermen out there that know where all the fish are, track them from babies to big ones, catch them when they're medium sized, throw them back in. But the fishermen are starting to notice the lack of fish reproducing. A good fisherman follows the rules. An uneducated fisherman breaks the rules. If we allow people to put the boat in and take it out, it's our responsibility as a township to make sure they follow all the rules. If we have to look down the road and pay an individual to assist people washing their boats, then that is something that has to be put into the equation. Everybody else has done it. We have to follow suit. We need to save the fish and we need to save our beautiful lakes. Because one time you're going to be out there and it won't be pretty anymore. You won't be able to see the bottom.
Thank you. Okay. Now I think we're complete with public comment. Sorry that I overlooked you.
That's
Heidi.
okay. No worries.
So we'll move into review boat launch bids, final decision. Who would like to batter up?
Make a motion to award Milan Excavating the bid for phase
Excuse me,
one.
Della, I was not prepared to take down your motion.
So we can start the discussion. Somebody
Yeah,
needs to make a
exactly.
motion.
I get it. Motion to award Milan Excavating.
The bid for phase one of the Whitewater Township Park Improvement Project at a cost of $484,727,071 based on the recommendations from Fleece and Vanderbrink Engineering Firm.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? What was your number?
$484,727.71 based on the, I'm so sorry. $484,727.71.
Allie, I got it right.
That's just phase one. That's not phase two or phase three that's listed there. Or as it says in the packet, additional. I'm thinking those are separate phases,
So,
additionals.
so to be clear, this motion does not include,
The boat wash.
Oh.
I see that as a phase two.
okay,
Linda Slopsma pointed out accurately that we did get a grant from Grand Traverse Band, the $20,000, which can be put towards the phase two, which is a boat wash station. And we can, as we find other funding, you know, I completely had forgotten about Linda's research that she had done on alternative boat washes and the cost differences. And if we can save money that way for phase two, I don't see why phase two couldn't be started.
I don't understand why it wasn't put in phase two. Why Linda's work wasn't put in phase two, why Fleece and Vanderbrook used their own.
Because we didn't tell them to.
yeah, I don't,
We would have to direct them to use an outside source.
Oh,
And I don't recall doing that.
I don't either, Darrell. I mean, the original bid package was that F&B put out was with the CD3 at the time, which was what was considered out there.
That's not an official quote. We'd have to get an official
yeah,
quote. from-
that's the information we had at the
Yeah.
At
time.
the time,
Right.
right.
I mean, subsequent.
I'm
to-
not saying I don't want to do the boat wash because I do. I think it is necessary. But I think that we can find other funding for that to go along with what we've already gotten. Or at least by the end of this camp season, I don't know, maybe we can find another way to fund it faster. Linda asked, what do we need to do to help? What can ESSA do to help?
Well, you're only short about $5,000, maybe $5,000 or $6,000. So you do have some ARPA funds you could put with that.
Again, we don't have an official quote, so I don't know that we're only short $5,000.
But we could investigate
But
it.
I think Della has a good point that that's a phase two. And I don't
Unless somebody,
believe
unless
it's
the
in
board
the
feels
voting.
differently that we do it all at the same time and we find the additional money somewhere else to include it. I mean,
And I don't believe it's in the voting access site agreement that we have with the state. That's a contract we have with the state to get
so it
this
doesn't
done.
have to be included in that. It can be,
Right.
can be done separately.
I don't, I mean, looking at that system that was up at Lake Leelanau that drove up and they had recently done, they invited us up and, you know, I think for those that are interested, I have pictures of it. And the price quotes, the cost estimates and talking to their chairperson up there of the Lakes Association. The system is, I don't think it's something that Mullen is going to build out. I think it's something that you know, it's a different contractor to put
Yes.
that together. It's, I don't want to demean it, but it's not that complicated in terms of the setup. It's really, it's a pretty efficient setup.
I know you told us about this, but I can't recall. What, do you remember what the price tag was on that one?
I'd have to go back and look, but it was around the $25,000.
We're close.
So, yeah, I mean, we, again, to Cheryl's point, we're gonna have to get a bid, but
Mhm.
you know, let's range it and say it's 25 to 35,000. You know, for sake of discussion, and if we have the $20,000 tribal grant, that makes our contribution significantly less. You know, they have a CD3 up there and the water prosh, looking at them both. The design and the system that's up there is just really, really good. It's low maintenance, really efficient.
Not much can
So-
break on it.
So.
And there's, I keep hearing people thinking that we're not going to do the boat wash. We've already taken $20,000 from the tribe for the boat wash. The boat wash is going to be done. We don't know at this particular date when it's going to be done. Right now, unless you were to put it in the dump station, there isn't even a spot for it. So until we get a site prepared for it, we can't install it. And there's just no question that the boat wash is going to happen. For anybody who's doubting that, we've already taken money from the tribe for that, and that's a commitment that we've already made.
Right, and I think all the board members here feel the same way, do we not? That
Incorrect. Incorrect.
you don't feel like we need the boat washing station?
I do feel we need the boat
Okay.
wash station, but I am totally opposed at moving it to what you're considering as phase 2. And when everybody's done speaking, I mean, it'll be my turn. So I'm just waiting patiently, but thanks for asking.
Well, no, yeah, you kind of cut me off there. I was saying, I don't think anybody on this board is not saying we don't want to do the boat washing station. We do. Am I right about that?
Yes, definitely. We want to do the
Yeah.
boat
And it
wash.
needs to be top priority. In my opinion, it needs to be top priority. Because stuff's already in the lakes.
Yeah.
And things come into the lakes from a lot of aquatic invasive species can come into the lakes from private property along the lakes. It can come from waterfowl. So boat launches are not the only entry point for, this is a start. There's 5 launches on the Elk Lake system. And so I'm glad to hear Pat Lantram's putting something in at Rotary Park. They're great stewards of the water. But it's going to be a long time before there's total containment of aquatic invasive species in
Yeah.
Elk Lake.
I don't think that's ever going to happen, but
Yeah.
you can greatly minimize it
Right.
from our.
Well, that's the
properties.
goal.
And it should be a priority.
It just doesn't come in totally.
no, it's not a boat
Right,
wash.
launches, boat launches.
Sir?
Just on the boat wash.
Just on the boat wash. So here's my read about your motion, Ardella.
Okay.
We do have the grant already in-house from tribal
Mhm.
membership, and we definitely appreciate that. Looking at the summary sheet, which can be found on packet page 4. Items A and B are the site preparation for the boat wash station. Those 2 line items are right around the $20,000 mark. I could support potentially a motion that would include the site preparation for the boat wash. And I believe that there are community members out there who will donate the mechanical side.
That would be awesome.
Okay, so I don't see this as a then and now thing. I think that while we've got the heavy equipment there, while we've got the gravel trucks running up and down the road, we might as well lay this base in.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding something.
Okay.
Looking at, looking at the bid process itself.
Mhm.
Isn't alternative 1A through E the actual physical boat wash station?
No,
No?
Mm-mm.
No,
Then that's where my misconception is coming
Okay.
in.
can we take a look at alternate bid prices?
Yep.
And again, I'm on
See, I
packet.
missed that last meeting you guys had where you went over the bids.
Sure, so
So,
now, with the board's indulgence, I might just give a quick.
I would appreciate if you just catch her up.
Okay.
Catch her up.
Yeah.
So early on in discussions, this is back when we were hammering things out. Rick and Andrew said, you know, what we could do is put line items in here. So you could pick and choose kind of like a menu, and then your price goes up and down. And so I think that's where the alternate bid price that you see listed under paragraph 3.02
mhm.
came from.
Well, because it says boat wash, it says boat wash area. So it was like, to me, alternate. This is the focus on the boat wash.
But we don't have to select items A through E. We can do menu pricing. That's my understanding.
Might as well.
I don't know if Andrew or anyone from F&V is on the call, but
Only by phone. Andrew was going to be on there by phone. He has to travel today.
okay. So I think that's the proper understanding. And-
Yeah, A and B were specific, were line item menus. As well as C at the time we bid it with the CD3, that obviously is not what I think we haven't gone formal on that, but I think we're all leaning away from that. But A and B would be Mullen prepping that boat wash area, and that was put into the drawings and did go out in the January, the drawing set. The D and E alternatives in that were the consideration to add a 4th lane into the water, even though there wouldn't be any docking there, but to add the 4th lane for future expansion if or when needed.
Okay.
So the conversation, so you really throw out C for this discussion purposes, and then A and B would be the boat would be a consideration for Mullen to do the prep work.
But doesn't C say CD3 boat wash?
It does, but I'm saying that the boat
He just
wash,
said throw out C,
just throw out C. I think
remove it.
the CD3 boat wash is the air pressurized system. It's not the power, the
okay.
pressurized water
I got
that
you.
we've gone a completely different direction than
So
that.
if an outside source, citizens wanted to provide that, we would not need this extra 36,000.
Well, correct. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
And
correct.
we've been given information, whether or not the board members agree with it, that a water pressure washing system is better than the CD3, but that's all the information we had at the time.
Right.
And it just stayed in there. So I think that similar to the argument I've heard, or the question I've heard about the 4th lane, and I think we talked about this in the last meeting, we've got all of the heavy equipment there. Arguably, it costs 25 grand to get the stuff there, right? Mobilization fees and so on and so
Oh,
forth.
yeah.
So I think that doing the earthwork, the site preparation and grading for the boat wash area, as well as putting down the aggregate base of 8 inches for that area, is money well spent right now. It's certainly the tribe's contribution offsets that. And by the time this thing opens up, I'm certain the community will come together and there's going to be the mechanical portion available to the township through one method or another. So that's my thought there. There's also been lots of questions about 8 inches of aggregate base needed. I think that this is erring on the safe side. I think 8 inches of aggregate out there in that sandy soil is probably real close to accurate to support the driving surface
Right.
over a long period of time. Now, nobody says that, we're not going to haul freighters in and wash them or anything like that, but we probably won't be able to stop heavy vehicles from driving in there. And having a proper road base established, I think, is again, money well spent. So whether or not we use 6 inches or 8 inches, I think I'm going to leave that up to the engineers.
So I gotta make sure I'm understanding here. So D&E, you would still like to leave that in? Because that is for the 4th lane?
That is for the 4th lane in somewhat contradiction to what Don had said. I think we're still going to have 2 docks, right?
Yep.
And so we're going to have one dock that you can pull on the north and south side of.
Yeah.
And we're going to have another dock that you can only pull on the south side of. So that's going to be a blind corner, right? Okay. So if you thinking about backing up, I'm sorry, if you are thinking about backing up, that's a blind side. No boater's going to choose that. They'll wait for the other ones. Trust me. So with the 4th or the 11 additional precast planks, then there's a dock on the, there's a boat launch on the other side of the north dock. So 4 boats could actually be launched or retrieved.
Don't get me wrong, Ron. I like the idea of having 2 docks with 4 lanes. I think that would be a much safer situation for boaters going in and out. And in the long run, it makes it safer for the township as a whole, liability wise. And I agree with you. You have the equipment there. The additional expense is minimal.
It's about 20 grand.
Yeah, but when you think about overall,
When you think about mobilization fees
you
and
think about doing this, putting another lane in when you find out you need it, it's gonna cost a whole lot more. Is what you're saying, right?
it definitely. And
I see this as. I said phase 1. But I see this as the beginning of improving that particular piece of property for the citizens of Whitewater Township. I mean, you went to that boat washing station, so you went right by that park that's in Grellickville.
Mhm.
You drove right by it before the big marina. They took a nothing park and they turned that into a gem for their township.
sure did.
And I can see something very similar like that for us here in Whitewater. Not today, not this project, but this is like first step towards that. And that's not just for people staying in the campground, that's for our citizens to have a place to go. So they don't have to go up to Elk Rapids or into Traverse City, because where the beaches are real nice to drive by in Acme, there's no places to park except at that one park. So, it's nice to drive by and beautiful, but again, they're still, they're going out of their community. It'd be nice to have a place where we have a complete recreation center right down there where people can boat, kayak, picnic, have their family reunions, go to the beach. Someday that would be really nice to have down there. And I just see this as just the beginning.
Backing up just a little bit.
If I could just make one quick comment. Also, I don't believe actually that this $25,000, shoot from the hip estimate for a pressurized water boat system is taking into account the, the getting the water over there, getting the electrical over there, getting the egg, yeah, come on in, you can put it on the table there. That's good too. Thanks. I doubt that includes, what will have to be, there'll have to be an Eagle permit for that. There'll have to be plans for what's gonna happen with the water, disposal of the water.
Just like the removal and moving of the park ranger station, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's not
exactly.
included in here either.
Right.
Matter of fact, we don't even have a shoot from the hip bid on that.
Well, we do. The board asked for that. I brought that in here today, back in November 3rd, I believe it was. Fleece and Vandenbrink provided us with an updated engineering estimate, and there was a couple, the ranger station was in there, electrical to the rangers, or utilities to the ranger station.
Did you share that with the board?
No, the board got it. Board got it back in November, late October. This is all sent to everybody on the board. I just printed it out for today. Oh, here it is, right here. So they got us 2 updated estimates last fall. There was one dated 9/29. We got that in October. And they had phase 2 gravel parking, and then they had additional items for the future where the boat wash was on that, ranger station, some sidewalks, boulder wall, and then another update of that just a few
Cheryl?
weeks later.
Could we have Lois make copies of that? So that we don't, I'm over here digging through my stuff to find it, and it
Right.
just might be
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah,
I
but everybody
appreciate
got
that.
this. It was in a packet.
So what's the number
Which number?
to move the ranger station?
Well, no, there was never a number to move the ranger station. We got a number at one time to move the shed. This is for a new ranger station.
Oh, okay. So what's the number for a new ranger station?
What'd they put in here? Let me just see, 60,000, I think,
Okay.
and then utilities of 10,000.
How big is that, Cheryl?
Hang on.
I don't know that a size was assigned to it.
No size was assigned to it?
It's on that paper.
Yeah, if it's not on the paper, there's no size on there, so I don't remember if we gave them a parameter to work with.
So there are going to be some
Other
costs that we haven't put in here yet. And that's one of my notes, I think, from Linda's public comment. Do we actually know the true cost? And so by the time we leave this meeting today, I hope we can establish kind of all of those little things that maybe we haven't thought about yet, right? But going back to just the bids.
Mhm.
So thank you, Andrew, for getting that letter out and saying, yep, one contractor made a mistake. Okay. Well, here's my opinion on that. You send in a sealed bid. A bid's a bid. They have the right to withdraw the bid. Don't put the decision on us to accept a bid that already has its first change order on it before we even award the contract. I get it. It's a mistake. I get that. Will we pay for it in the end? Yep, probably. Will it cause them to remove their bid? Maybe. But I think Heidi pointed out that this is in the main bid. I think it is line item 13. The precast concrete planks. We talked about this in the previous meeting, Ardella, and the only reason I'm repeating is to draw this to your attention. In the original meeting, Andrew provided a potential reason for why that line item was blank at the top of the page.
Thank you.
And he said, well, sometimes, thank you. Sometimes contractors will bury costs in particular line items, right? And so I believe Heidi asked about line item 13, where one bidder's cost for the product is $4,000.
$9. A unit is 4,000. It's 88. It goes up.
Brief pause while information handed out is being reviewed. Good to go.
I'm good.
Thank you. Back on page 4, Ardella. Okay. So as I was explaining our conversation from the previous meeting, line item 13 was discussed. And we see that one contractor has the concrete planks placed at 4,009, while the other ones have them placed at 1,760 to 2,350, thereabouts. And so Andrew commented that this could be one of the line items used to offset a zero value in line item number 1. Whether or not that's true, we don't know. But what we can do is draw conclusions, some different conclusions if we look at item D under the alternate bid prices, where the same contractor for the same product now is only charging $1,452 for the identical product.
But that's across the board, that the contractors are charging a different amount on line 13 than they are on line D in the alternate number 1. They've all changed the pricing of those precast concrete planks.
Yeah,
And
but
well,
look at the
I
extreme.
see your point. I see your point, but I'm going to add to Ron's comments. If you look at line item number 6, and Molin's bid is the unit price is $15.23. You go down to alternate line item B, $15.23. You go to line item 12, and it's on Molin, it's $13.86 unit price, and alternate bid E, $13.86. I would have expected the same thing, that if the line item at the top, if the unit price is at the top and it goes into an alt, I would never expect the unit price to change. The unit price would be the same. That is a interesting question, because it's not like it's, $7 higher or $5 you might think is a typo, but you're talking about a $2,500 difference in that unit price. And that's not something you typically see.
No, you don't. And if
Yeah.
I put that in my shopping list, my husband would say, why is it so high over here?
And on the Elmer's bid, comparing line 13 to line D, and line D, the same product is $2,000 more.
But yet line B is $13.32 for Elmer's, and line 6 is $13.32.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
just saying, and on the pop excavating bid, line 13, unit price is $2,350 basically. And then it's $700 cheaper. This happens to be one that it's cheaper. So for some reason, all of the contractors gave different prices for those planks between their base bid and their alternate bid.
Agree 100%, Cheryl.
And I can understand, and so looking at what Don said, I can understand why the alternate price would be higher, quite frankly. And that has to do with transportation costs. So I don't know what these things weigh, but I do know that you can probably legally carry around 80,000 pounds in Michigan.
A
And so
little
I'm
more during the frost.
I'm thinking that you stack 4, 6, or 8 of these things on a semi and you make a trip. And so 22 needs, 10 trips, whatever. Well, this 11 is going to require 2 just in itself. So I can see why the price would elevate slightly for this particular product. I would think that it's probably expensive to haul. Plus it's 18 foot. So I guess you could get 2 of them end to end on a 53 footer, but I think you'll end up overweight at any rate. So
But
back to my original statement, is that we have a flawed bid and we can accept or reject it, or we can accept the upcharge already. The alternative is that the next closest price, which is Elmer's, also has a flaw in it. They were late. So, but it is a complete bid.
by what, 6 minutes or something? I mean, the board has the
11
ability
minutes.
to
Yeah.
waive defects.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like we're considering potentially waiving a defect on Mullins,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
I cannot see spending that much more money because they made an error and they corrected it. Because they made an error, they corrected it. And it is up to us to accept the correction. Their correction is still under the next highest bid, lowest bid, I should say, by quite a significant number. And we're talking about all the things that we want to do and we want to make sure they're included. I think that would be foolish to waste that kind of money. I don't think that would be a good choice for us to make. I could be wrong, but I don't feel that would be a good choice to make,
So
to
you-
eliminate this vendor because of them leaving out the number for the transportation.
You don't see that as a deal breaker, I guess.
I do not,
Okay.
not when we're looking at bottom line numbers.
Mhm.
That's like, if I was making this purchase for myself, that wouldn't be a deal breaker for
Mhm.
me. Just because we're of the thousands and thousands of dollars we're talking about,
Hundreds of thousands.
hundreds of thousands, thank you. Curiously, when you look at the unit price and the estimated amounts, that information came from Fleece and Vanderbrink estimates. And they did the same thing. That when you look at D under alternate bid price.
For the
and-
planks,
Yeah, the planks. You look at 13, they did the same thing.
I don't see that.
it's on line 13 is the new to new. 14 is the salvaged ones for 900. Is that what you're looking at, Della?
And both line
Mhm.
items are 1,800 each.
Ones, yeah, but it says there's 11 of them, line 14.
Mhm.
Oh, excuse me, line
Yeah,
13.
yeah.
Oh, no, there's 22. I'm sorry. My line is,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, now you're ruining my thing here.
yeah. I needed a piece of paper there. to-
So
or a
Heidi,
ruler.
what is your thought about I'm going to use the phrase correctly or not, about an incorrect bid? Or an incomplete bid? Is that a deal breaker for you?
At this point, it's no, because apparently mistakes were made all over the place. So I'm throwing that out because there's no comparison. You know what I mean? Mistakes were made. So at this point, what's the difference?
Are you willing to receive an upcharge already? Or a change order, or however you want to address it?
That's what really bothers me.
Okay.
I'm okay with it because if you go to the next bid, he's 11 minutes late, so you could basically say the same thing. I don't like that there was an open box. I don't know why you wouldn't proof your bid, but then it makes me look another way. You left this open. What are you leaving open when you're completing my project? Just saying. Same thing with being late on a bid. Are you gonna be late on the completion? So now I'm really torn here with,
Oh, yeah, there's a timeline that things have to be done by.
yeah, there
When you
is.
look at the contract and they spell out,
I get it,
yeah.
but
So-
here's the start, okay? You want me to hire you and it's not clean.
But their letter explained what
Oh,
happened. I mean, things
okay.
happen.
Okay,
Yeah, it's understandable what ended up happening.
Okay. And so I'd just like to get every board member's opinion on, accepting or how they want to rationalize or findings of fact of defective quotes, right? Cheryl, what's your thought on, incomplete or late documents?
I think it happens probably every day in the bidding world, and we noticed it, asked the question, got the information expeditiously, and I don't see a problem with it. I don't think we should throw out any of the bids.
Don?
I I accept the deficiency in it. I don't, I think they provided a reasonable explanation and I guess in my mind, you know, in my experience with line item number one, I was expecting something around $25,000 to come back. That was just, you know, my back of the napkin forecast, and it came in at 23.9, and I was either going to hear one or two things when the answer, when it was researched. Either it was they were add-ons into their unit prices or bid amounts, and you know, some people have spread those across the line items, and some put them as a lump sum. I've seen them both ways. I didn't feel that it was spread in. I didn't voice that opinion, but I was expecting. The number came in pretty much where I expected it. So that's, I suppose, why I'm a little more accepting of this bid. So.
And my feeling is it gives a great opportunity to have two looks at the same apple or two bites at the same apple. But I also have to look at being responsible with taxpayer dollars. And so, you know, if we were to add in double the cost or even triple the cost that came back on the letter that should have been in that blank, we're still not even close to the second bid. So, you know, for me, if the bids were a little closer together, I would probably make a different decision. But I guess I have to concur with the rest of the board that we accept the change at this point. So.
And I'm familiar with Milan, as everybody is probably with Elmer's also. They're a well-established company. They've been around for many, many years.
I want them to redo the road around the bay, though.
My question is, have they overbooked themselves because their bids are so low that, you know, there's quite a difference between them and Elmer's.
Well, when you look at, and I'm just going off the top of my head, not that I have it here in front of me, but when you look at the vendors they're using for the line items they're providing, Milan uses a lot of local people and they use themselves a lot because their company is varied. So they have different
Yeah, I know
departments.
that.
Different
So they can
divisions.
use themselves.
So
for
does
these kind of-
Elmer's.
So they can keep their prices lower. If you've got to go out for a section of your bid to another vendor, you're subject to their high prices.
I get it.
Yeah.
Elmer's is the same way. They have all their own equipment also, so.
Yeah.
I was just concerned that they have the same entities, the same in-houses. They do all their own work. And look at the difference in the price of bids.
They're not small.
So
They're a major player.
help me understand, and I'm asking the board this question. It's a question we asked Andrew to find out for us, and it was about the number of meetings. So we could go out and we could ask various engineering firms, hey, we need you to do these things for us. And there was a list of 3 or 4 items that were derived during the 2-9 meeting. Andrew's response was that he really didn't get a response from anybody he asked, and I assume he only asked Molon. I believe he indicated that in his response, but he would suggest bi-weekly, and I think that means every other week, meetings. So how long is this project going to last? Originally, I was thinking that we were going to potentially just do the parking lot in the spring, right? All of those road improvements and so on and so forth. And then in the fall, after the major camping season, we were going to rip into the boat launch. Is that still everybody's thought process here? Or is this going to be a one and done? You know, all the equipment's here, right? Otherwise, do we have 2 mobilization fees?
I'll be honest, Ron. I hadn't even considered that.
I did.
Of it being split. So I don't know what the pros and cons are of splitting it up, starting it that way. If it's a mobilization thing, they have to come out twice instead of one and done. What did they propose? I mean, isn't it in here?
Well, that was my question kind of to the board. I'm sorry it took so long to get there. What was required in the bid document for completion timeline?
Yeah, do you have a completion
It's-
timeline?
yeah, it's
Because
here.
here's what I looked at. And that's the only piece of the pie I forgot to look at was their completion time, but a lot of state parks are opening late this year because they're doing improvements.
Yeah, but those improvements were started last summer.
I get that.
Or
Or
early
no,
fall.
not a lot of them. A lot of them are because of ARPA money. So a lot of them have now got their money there and they're not gonna open till the middle of July. I did send you that blurb. I think I sent you and somebody else did. So do you inconvenience everybody while you're doing something, or do you open late and have a nice shiny grand opening?
I don't think we covered this fine point in the bid document.
It's
Um,
here.
yes.
I just
believe
looked at
we
it
did.
last night.
I'm looking at Mullins bid package that was submitted. And there, and I don't know if anybody has that PDF document.
I don't have any of the bid documents and I would like to be provided with those.
I sent them all out.
How do I have
Send
that?
them out.
Yeah,
In fact,
I
Linda
emailed them all out to everybody.
sent us the email on the boat wash on
On what
2/9.
date would that have been approximately? We got
well-
the bids on the 31st. The bids
So-
were opened, weren't they, on the 31st? Yeah.
Yeah,
They were in the packet on the 31st, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Let me look.
the F and V rep was right there with me. He waited until he got his electronic copy.
We had the first meeting and
That was under construction phase, but it's not. is
it's
it?
Article 4, page 4.
Of 131.
Yeah, let me,
In the project manual?
yeah.
There wasn't
I'm
a-
looking at Article 4, time of completion. And it's just about 6 sentences if you want me to read it, just for the purposes of this.
Yeah, go for it.
Bidder agrees that the work will be substantially complete and will be completed and ready for final payment in accordance with paragraph 1506 of the general conditions. Parts of the work shall be substantially completed on or before the following milestones. Number 1, all work on boat trailer parking area and drives must be substantially completed by July 28th, 2023. All work on boat launch area shall not commence prior to September 11th, 2023, and must be substantially completed by November 1st, 2023.
I mean, I guess I'm still looking for these documents.
Yeah, so it was 131, Cheryl, and I just want to make sure that I didn't accidentally leave you off. I'm pretty sure I sent them to all board members.
There was no packet for 2/9.
Yeah, I see that.
So they weren't in there.
Yeah, I was losing my mind looking for that.
No,
That's the
there
meeting
was
that I
not
ended up
one. There's
missing.
none on the website.
Okay, the 3 bids went out Tuesday, January 31st at 11:37 a.m. Ron Pop, 2 clerk. And then BCC's in there.
Yep.
What's the subject line?
The subject line says boat ramp bids.
Mhm. Yeah, and you're the first one on the,
Yep, she's the person
on
on
the
the
email
list.
string.
There should be.
Well, I wasn't here for
Andrews?
a week, so I must have missed
Yeah,
that.
and
email,
plus,
but-
we've been having email communication issues between
Yeah, you were gone that week.
several departments. So
Did you find it?
No, I'm not back there yet, but
Okay.
I'll find it.
I can send it again too, if it's just easier.
And they do have, there is ramifications written right in,
I got
or
it.
if they miss milestones. It's $900 a day.
Yep,
There
I
was,
saw that.
yeah, there's a performance
Mhm.
clause in there. So.
Okay,
So that should make people feel better about timelines, knowing, and that's pretty standard.
no, I'm all good. I'm all good with that. Yep. And I think while it will have some inconvenience to the park, especially the first phase is probably going to be, heavy equipment running up and down the road, whatever the case might be. I can see some inconvenience, but really, we're just going to have to adapt. That's what we're going to have to do.
And can we adapt and make sure
It's one
Put-
season.
It's one season.
can we adapt and somewhere put in there that because of this construction traffic, what are we gonna do about the dust on Park?
May have to do more.
We may have to do more.
We
Yeah,
can't forget that.
right. Okay, so I think
Again, it's
we've
one-
all
one
kind of
season. That we'll have to do more.
I'm sorry.
I said, again, that's just one season. We'll have to do more.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank goodness there aren't more people on that road. Otherwise, I think we get more complaints, but I hear what you're saying. We need to address the road
Especially
soon.
with ruts, they're gonna be bringing in heavy equipment. It's gonna make more ruts.
So,
Ruts.
Don't forget that.
No, ruts. Ruts,
coming from.
ruts. Well, that's what happens and that road gets to be a point where if you have a small car, you can't even drive down it.
Have to go really slow.
And don't forget that after award of the bid, I don't know who you want to do this, but F&V, the next step is prepare contract documents and submit to MDNR Waterways Program and Township for final approval. So there has to be a contract drawn up.
I believe, and that came up before. I think you brought that up and I believe
Yeah.
Andrew said that they would be filing that with the.
Right. Yep,
Yeah.
but that has to go to the waterways
Yeah,
for
and
approval.
I believe
the
F&B
contract.
said that they were going to be
Yeah.
sending that over.
So it doesn't just, we award the bid and say,
Right.
okay, start on this day.
Right.
It has to be approved by waterways and the township.
Is it Andrew on the phone?
You have to leave.
Oh, how are we gonna get him this information?
oh, we'll get it to them. I'm
Okay,
pretty sure of that. So trying to bring us back on track here. It looks like we're all supportive of the lowest bid, even though it has defects. Is that kind of the board consensus here?
And the motion that I made included the additional monies.
Yes, it did. Yep. And so.
The line item one that was subsequently added.
Correct.
And I would be very supportive of a motion that also then entertained A and B of the alternate bids for an additional, let's see, what is that, 3870 and 15,230. And I'm gonna just refer to that as those two items of boat wash infrastructure.
I'll second that.
Well, it's not
Was
really,
that-
it's
was-
not really a motion. It's just that I think while we've got the equipment there, the right thing to do is put the road in, the pull off or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it,
The A and B total is 19,100.
19,100.
What was it? 19,000?
19,100. That's the alt A line plus the alt B line.
Thank you. So the other point of contention seems to be the fourth lane. And so how does the board feel about the fourth lane? Cheryl, what's your thought?
I don't like the idea of only 3 lanes. I don't think that solves the issue down there.
So you're pro fourth lane.
I am. I think you just get it done.
Mhm. Don?
Well, as I've stated before, and I think Ardella said it more eloquently, it's never going to get less expensive than doing it now. If we were, whatever point in the future, if the dock's going to be there, and whether this board or some other group board wants to try to put it in, it's going to be substantially more expensive. And I think it's cost efficient to do it now.
Ardella?
I agree with Don and I agree with Cheryl. I think doing it now is more cost effective. And I also believe that it's a safety issue.
I won't ask for why it's a safety issue, but probably to backing up, I would think.
Yeah.
Heidi, what's
User
your,
safety issue?
Heidi, what's your thought?
Well, why do you think, why pay for stuff twice? So, I mean, if you're gonna go, do what you can afford to do now. Open the box so that you're constantly making changes. You have the ability to do that. If you put, in other words, if you put the base in, you're just putting the base in right now.
No, we're
you're gonna
actually,
add-
we'll
you're gonna
actually
add
be putting,
It'll be
the-
functional, right?
so we're not talking about the boat wash.
No, I know, you're
We're
talking about the fourth, I get it,
lane,
I
right?
get it.
So
But
we
it
are.
will be functional. You're not
it-
talking about doing the prep.
Here's,
work.
here's the difference, guys. If we just did the A and B, it'd be $503,000, $827.71. If we did all of the option A, alternative A, that'd be A through E, which would add in those additional planks.
Excluding C, A through E excluding C,
Yeah.
because that's the CD3 boat wash.
Gosh, yes, sorry. I gotta redo my numbers.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So I like where you're going, plus the 15,972,
Yeah.
plus
Take out
then the 44,964.
So just take out that 40,000.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, C,
38,
36,
473.
473.
I come up with 524 or 497. So when I. Yes,
Is that the base bid plus A, B, D, and E?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
And that includes the 23,900 for line item 1. So I come up with 524,497, and please check my number,
524 what?
497.
Even, or you got change?
Well, I didn't, I mean,
Okay.
I didn't. Is it,
Okay, this might be a really stupid question, but why on this piece of paper, Cheryl, you gave me, do they go into 15, 25, and 30% contingency, yet on this bid, they only do 15?
So
I'm sorry, I'm busy adding something up.
that's one thing we should address, Heidi, and it's not a silly question. None of the contractors included a contingency number. The only contingency number included is in F and V's number,
Correct.
okay? So if you are looking on electronic packet page 4, that's the multicolored sheet. Contingency is highlighted in yellow, okay? There are no other contingencies across the board. So that is something, and I believe Linda also brought that in her public comment.
One moment.
Oops.
Alexa,
It's, I don't know who that is.
recalculating.
I don't know, I'm just a little concerned because there's no contingency
Okay,
anywhere.
but that's, earlier in the conversation, I indicated several things that the board should plan on, right? So we don't have surprises here. And that's the reason we go through these with a fine tooth comb, and thank you to all the public members who have provided input.
So did you come up with 524?
I came up with 524, 291 a couple times. And that was rounding the numbers. So the 484, 727, 71 became 484, 728. And then you've got 3870, 15,230, 15,972, and
No.
4,000.
I came up with 524, 490, 35. A dollar different than yours, and you're rounding and I'm not.
No, I came up with 524, 291.
Yeah.
Right, I'm not rounding,
Well, the rounding only makes $2 worth of difference.
and we're a dollar off.
Came up with what?
$484,727.71. That's Mulan's bid
Yeah.
after the adjustment.
Right.
$76,035.64.
No.
Hang on,
Okay.
for option B or alternative one. Comes up to $560,763.35. Now, if you take the $36,473 for C, line item C out. It equals $524,000,
291.
$490.35.
Say your number again, please, Ardella.
524
Yep.
490.35.
I didn't get 35. I just.
And I wrote yours down, Cheryl, or Don, as 524, 497.
I wrote it, that's what he said, but then
Okay.
I used the calculator and did the numbers.
And I did what you did, Della. I took the base bid, the new base bid, 484, 727.71. I added $76,035.64 and then subtracted $36,473. And when I do it that way, I come up with $524,290.35.
How could we be doing the same number on a calculator and it's coming up?
Well, I'm doing it on my phone, which
It's $200 off.
Yep, it is.
We
I
can
don't
do it
see it,
manually.
but-
You can see it.
No, wait a minute.
Here it is. Look.
I can't do it manually. I'm out.
Can you not do it manually? It's much easier.
484, 727.71, correct?
Maybe it's the calculator. Hang on. Or my fingers hitting the buttons on the calculator. That could be it.
Plus 76,035.64
Cheryl's absolutely right.
minus 36.
524
473.
290.35.
Yep.
That too, it must be my fingers. Sorry, guys.
Somebody give,
Because when I said, let's do it manually, I went.
could somebody give me the number again,
"Hey,
please?
wait
Yep.
a minute."
524,
Okay,
290.35.
0.35. That's it.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so that's kind of now our base bid. So should we follow our recommendations from the engineering firm and add a 15% contingencies?
I wonder if it's already in their bid prices.
I think it's already in their line items.
Here's my question, then you better get it in writing.
Yep,
I wanna, I could be wrong, but I want to think I actually read that. Let me pull up their bids. Actual bids.
Because when I read Cheryl's, every time you add something, the contingency went up 10%. 15% at the end. So the contingency went from 15% on the top project. Then you get to the gravel phase 2. Now your contingency's at 25%. And then you get to the end and it's at 30%.
So I think that was an early document. And we were trying to get a grip on where pricing structure was going, Heidi. And I think that document was probably early enough conversation that, let's see, what is the date of it?
11/3/2022.
Oh, well, no, the inflation numbers should have been out by that time. Yeah, I agree.
Well, what's interesting is on 9/29, the contingency goes 20%, 25%, 30%. But on 11/3, it goes 15, 25, 30. So you're only 2 months, little month and a half, 2 months, and you change your contingencies? Okay.
Well, you gotta keep in mind fluctuation in the market that's been happening.
I understand that.
And I also think I remember, hi, John. I think I remember Andrew, and I'm sure it's in the bids here somewhere, that these quantity numbers are estimated. For example, the gravel or the aggregate is a prime example. You know, F&D did their best to assume that there were 100 yards of gravel needed, whatever that number is. But we may end up using more. We could end up using less.
Mhm.
So. Okay.
I question. I'm looking at something here and I don't have the other sheet. I'm thinking that let's just take, for not to confuse it, let's take Elmer's, just the one in the middle. And if you look at line items 1 through 19, I added those up manually and certainly could have made an error, but I think that they came out to be like 598,900. And the blue box below that is 637. And I had, and I did not ask this question last time we were with Andrew to validate that. But if that is, if my numbers were right, that would show that Elmer's, if you add those line items up and then you look at that blue box, they in essence added a 6.5% contingency. And I did the same thing for Mullen and the same thing here for Top. And there was like 3.2 for Mullen, 6.5 and 2.8. But I'm for the life of me, I'm trying to remember. Suppose I could just add one up real quick. Let's see here.
Are we all adding up the blue box?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'll let somebody
I'm
else
not,
do
I
that.
was looking.
I
at
don't have it.
something else.
I just have my phone.
Well, that's all we all have.
I don't think 5 people need to have.
Apparently we do because we had 3 different.
Yeah, apparently there's different numbers on the bottom, so. Need like a magnifying glass.
No, I'm incorrect. You can stop.
Okay.
So. I just figured out what I did, so that is, there is no contingency built in there, so.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I don't see there is no contingency, the 461, so. It was just,
So you don't see a contingency in the Mullen bid?
I do not.
How about the Elmer's bid? I thought that's what I was looking at to see whether it was tabulated correctly.
I will. That is correct, 637. So there's no contingency in there.
It adds up to 637.
Yep, and then I'll just check take me 2 seconds here to do the last one too. And the last one is 982, which checks out. Okay, so I stand corrected. I spoke in error. There is no contingency built into those numbers.
Well,
Sorry
then
for
you
the
gotta
sidetrack.
think, is it built in the price? Or are you just gonna get a new surprise at the end of the project?
I'm sorry, Heidi, I was doing math on my phone. What did you say?
Do you think it's built in the costs that they're giving us?
I
Or
don't think we
is it
can
gonna
assume
be a
that.
surprise?
Yeah, I don't think we can assume that. 524. 290.35 times 1.15 would equal 602,933.91. 90, excuse me. 602,933.90.
That's with a 15%?
Yep. So Cheryl, where are we with the F and V cost? Originally, the contract was for between 50 and 55,000. Is that kind of correct?
I have that here. I think it was 52,165. Really should have brought that in here. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is right here. Yeah, contract was 52,165. As of, we've paid 36,165 to them since the professional services agreement was signed. However, we have not been billed by them since August of 22, and they've obviously done a lot of things in there.
So I'm just gonna put in there on this line item as 53,000 for F and V. And we kind of think that we will probably owe them, according to your calculations, maybe another 25,000 plus whatever additional work they might have done.
14.
Okay.
Well,
36 minus 50. Okay, yeah,
50.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
and I don't know,
I was erring
because,
high.
See that? You were.
so, but you're talking about not having them do in the bidding and construction engineering portion of their contract. By the way, this is an excellent kind of step-by-step thing of what happens after you award a bid and pre-construction meetings and blah, blah. But anyways, progress meetings and whatnot. But out of, well, there's 10 items there, and they've done the first 3, but now, and it sounds like talking about having them prepare the contract documents. But then you get into things that it sounds like from prior meetings, you're not planning on them doing. So you've got this other engineer that you want to bring in.
We do?
So, yeah,
Why
that
would
was
we- why
talked
would we
about
spend
on
money on that?
2-9.
I think it might have been Linda that pointed that out.
Well, I was thinking that F and V was not providing the bi-weekly construction management.
Owner's representative.
Yep. I mean, that's what I remember from that discussion.
I remember
wrong?
asking that question early on a couple months ago, and they said that they could do it, but it would be an additional charge.
No,
No?
well,
What does the agreement say? You
well,
have it
this,
there.
yeah, everybody has this, I think, maybe exception of Don. You know, there's, I don't know, think you want me to read all this, but, you know, upon award, prepare contract documents, submit to the DNR and township for approval. The next step is schedule and attend the pre-construction meeting with the contractor, township and utility companies, prepare and distribute meeting minutes. And that is something RCI did, was had meeting minutes of the progress meetings. Provide project engineering consultation as needed throughout the construction period, answer RFIs prepared by the contractor, review shop drawings for conformance to the construction documents, track construction projects, schedule and preside at periodic progress meetings with the contractor, township and utility companies.
So that covers the progress meetings.
Yeah, schedule and preside at periodic progress meetings with the contractor, township and utility companies, prepare and distribute meeting minutes, review contractor pay applications and provide recommendation to the township for payment, prepare up to 3 DNR reimbursement requests for township approval and submittal, prepare contract change orders, provide to the township for approval of those if necessary, provide a project rep during construction. But they've got this as part of bidding and construction engineering. The construction management part of it, that they said they're not going to do is they would have bid. They would have submitted a bid to be the general contractor and hire the subs. Okay, but you said, and they didn't do that. They said they were not going to do that. Their firm does offer that service, but they decided not to do that for this project and not to put in their own bid. But these other things here is something you wanted at the last meeting, you wanted someone else to do. And in fact, you asked them for the RFP
Yep.
for another engineer to do these things.
Well, if it's included in their original agreement to do those things.
I just don't see it. I mean, I'm looking at the same document that is on F and V letterhead that ties out that November 5th, 2019, how I have this, I have no idea. Page 7 talks about based on our understanding of the project, our services will be provided for the above tasks A through E for the lump sum fees is listed. Topographical survey, geotechnical analysis, preliminary plan refinement, final design engineering, bidding and construction engineering, total 52,165.
Yeah, and bidding and construction engineering includes those things I read plus a few more.
But then they're on further up, there's a page there under the additional provisions. And I think that's the question I think I asked Andrew on. And they said that talks about site observation and specifically, and that's where I thought it was, they could do it for a fee above the 52,000. And I could be wrong. That just seems to stick in.
And this is my printed copy
Sure.
of the fully executed contract.
So
With-
Cheryl, what you
Their
read,
names attached.
what you
Yeah, I think
read
we get
says
it.
they,
You can look at that if you want.
said they
Make another
would
copy.
preside over the progress meetings.
Yes.
But where does it say that they're going to verify that it was constructed? I mean,
I think further on down, it talks about them signing pay applications. I mean, you can pass that to Ron if he wants to look at it.
well,
Yeah.
and during the meeting time is not. So
Right, well, I'm
I don't
just
know how
bringing
we
it
got
up.
off on the owner's representative task. I'm sure it was me. I know it was me. But,
Well, how we got off on that is because in this contract, it says under the owner representative paragraph, which is halfway down the first page, it says the owner's primary representative for this project shall be the township clerk. And you wanted to change that. So that's how we got off on that.
gotcha. So that's still a valid thing,
Well, this needs to be changed.
right?
If we're thinking that, we want to have a board member be like
No,
the go-between, the liaison, I was going to suggest that you actually have two board members attend those meetings, because what happens if one isn't able to make it?
mhm.
You need an alternate, you need somebody else to be able to step in and report back to the board what's happening in those meetings. We do need somebody that's going to be taking point from this board. I don't really care who it is. It just, somebody needs to take point. And then, and be the liaison between whoever's managing the project, contracting company, and the board.
And I think I agree with what Cheryl said. I think that's where the rub come. Because I mean, her office is so busy. We're all busy, right?
That's why.
Well, I can tell you, I'm gonna be attending all the progress meetings, but I no longer wish to be the owner's representative.
We need somebody from this board to be able to report back to this board what's going on. We can't just hire an outside firm and expect them to look after this project the way that we would look after the project.
But we can.
Sure, but they're not going to take the care and concern that we would.
But they're gonna have the knowledge and skill that we don't.
And you think they're going to come to our board meetings and tell us stuff? I think that
They have progress reports. You're supposed to get two bi-weekly.
Well, there's minutes
who do they
taken of the
go to?
progress meeting.
if they have questions.
Somebody has
Who
to
are
take them out.
I don't know. I just think it's a mistake not having a board representative assigned or two.
When we did the fire station, we had a handful of change orders, things that couldn't be anticipated, the mold, a couple other things.
When
that
we did
came
the
up,
water line, we had a board rep.
And somebody
that dealt
has to
with
bring that
engineering.
information to the board,
Yeah.
change orders, and
Carol was the one. Carol did the board rep for that project.
I would, again. Don, what's your thought?
I'm looking at this F and V agreement. And it came across the line, and number 8, provide a project representative during construction with the following responsibilities. A, perform on-site observation during construction of the project. We have budgeted part-time on-site observation based on our estimated 12 weeks of construction and an average of 8 hours per week. B, provide record keeping of construction activities based on site visit observations, report defective work immediately to the township. 9, conduct final walkthrough of the contractor's work with the township and contractor, prepare a final punch list of remaining items. This,
But this
Yeah.
is the engineer's part of that, not an owner representative. You're basically wanting an owner's representative to independently be at these progress meetings.
It's a third level of
Watching.
security.
At the fire station project, we had the general contractor, RCI. We had Mark Pressel, and I went to all the progress meetings, even though I don't think I was even specifically assigned to do that, but I did. And brought all the change orders back. But I went there because I wanted to get the pay applications and, you know, see what the progress, well, I think I did some pretty detailed memos. I'm not gonna do that again, but I did some pretty detailed memos of the progress of the project and, you know, at least once a month, if not more. But
Okay.
anyway, so you've got you got your engineering firm, which
Yep.
we're required to have an
Mhm.
engineering firm.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we have to have an engineer sign these pay applications, and they are the ones that really, and you wanted an owner, you know, we need an owner's representative also, because that's the point person that the engineer will bring if there's substandard work or whatever. You know, they'll bring that to their attention. As you say, no board member is an expert on deciding whether work is substandard or, you know, that type of thing. So you rely on your engineer, which we're required to have, to do that. And it's a question, I think, of, you know, and I understood that you wanted an engineer to be the owner's representative. That's what I understood from the last, you asked Andrew for all these documents, RFPs, that you wanted the engineer and the owner's representative to be an engineer.
Because from discussion, we had developed that list of what the person had to do. And part of the duties of that person was to sign the pay requests, right? So,
Not the owner's representative. No, the engineer signs that. Well, and you
So-
wanted that person to be an engineer. Okay.
so,
yes.
so that was my understanding of that conversation, but clearly here, F&V has provided that service. So now, do we actually need an engineer to be our representative? So for example, density calculations, do we need 8 inches or 6 inches of gravel, right? So somebody said 8, other people feel 4. So I guess an engineer would be like a third opinion. If we hired an owner's rep that was an engineer, we could use them for a second opinion. That's
Any
what I
idea
meant
what-
to say.
I know this probably be off the top of your head, maybe not, maybe you've already done the research on it, but any idea what that would be an additional cost?
So from that 2-9 meeting, did we throw around 10% to Andrew? And what did he think of that 10% of the project cost? And what did he think of that number?
You know, the owner's rep also would do like they gave us this construction phase owner's rep document, Andrew did. And so, I mean, reading that, there's a lot of things in here, but maintain the project records. Okay, I have a big fat notebook in there of all the project documents that I accumulated, you know, for the fire station. So that's all in one place. That needs somebody, whoever is going to be the owner's rep needs to do that so that we have a, if we need to look back on, you know, here's all the change orders, you know, here's the construction contract with the successful bidder, you know, any other pertinent things. I don't remember what else is in there, plans, you know, all that kind of stuff, and keep that so that anybody ever wants to ask a question about the project, you've got a big old binder that, or one or two, whatever it
Project
takes.
binder.
A project binder for the project.
Ron, to answer your question, you just asked me, I'm looking at my handwritten notes. And I see two notes that I made, project manager compensation rate, question mark, percentage of project, question mark. And then off there, I think then whatever subsequent conversation we had, I then noted that approximately $20,000 to $30,000 is an estimate. As an owner's rep. But then my note is not clear where that number came from. I mean,
Is Andrew back on? the
I know
phone?
we
You
were,
can
I
ask
I
him.
know we did not land on a compensation rate or a percentage, but because we just didn't know.
So let's arguably throw in a
Is Andrew on the
$30,000
phone or
figure.
did you leave again?
Is Andrew still on?
If he is on his iPhone. Are you on, Andrew?
So if we put in $30,000 for a owner's representative. That brings us to 685, 933, 90.
What did I miss going from 602, 933 to?
Good question. So in my column, I have the 602, 933.90.
Yep.
Plus 53 for F and D,
Oh, yes. Okay.
which
But we've already paid,
understood. This is
Right.
just a project total, right?
right, okay.
So then that has a subtotal is 655, 93390. Add 30 is 685, 93390. And so I don't believe we have dealt with the ranger station yet. And according to this document that was handed out, we're looking at 10,000 for utilities and,
60,000 for the building.
all right, so 70,000.
And there's no dimensions on that ranger station. Got a ballpark or something? Anybody? Do we have a ballpark on how big we're making that building?
I think Don and Ron threw out one last meeting.
On the building size, I
Mhm.
don't,
I-
no,
you
there's
guys
nothing
threw
there's
out-
nothing shown on the drawings is,
Oh,
Right.
no, I know, it's not even
No.
part of this project.
right.
Yeah, so I
That's,
think,
that's another dollar for another day.
yeah,
Although I don't think you're going to be able to move the current ranger station, but you could bring in something temporary.
and that's kind of
So-
where I,
Because you're not gonna have, you're not gonna get it built this year. You're not gonna get a new ranger station built this year.
so following up on what Cheryl said, would anybody be opposed? I remember the day where the, what did we call them? The site camper, the host camper, used to have their own camper kind of right where the ranger station is now.
Yeah.
And there was just a little hut that had the reservation papers in it. And so you would roll up and you would go to that little hut. There's still an electrical stand there where that hut used to be at. And it was nothing more than like a bus stop, little cubicle. And people would just hand register. And I assumed then in those days that the host camper would
Was parked behind it.
would collect those registration papers and then probably go collect the fees at night. I was not paying attention to how the park was run then.
Well, they can't, I mean, what's out there, the 12x10, they can't do it. I mean, they even use the outside of that building. No one comes into the building anymore since COVID. I mean, they can't operate with less than 120 square feet, what's out there right now.
Right.
And I mean, that building is very busy with selling wood, selling ice, selling boat passes,
Information.
information.
Yeah,
They gotta
okay.
have something that is,
What are you thinking, that needs to be removed now because of the road construction that's
Yeah.
gonna happen?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be one of the first things to go, and having like a camper or some mobile structure, I think would be beneficial because I think there's gonna be a lot of activity there.
remember, if you're gonna have something temporary out there, it's gotta have air conditioning. It's gonna sit right in the direct sun. It gets beastly hot inside something, especially if it's gonna be a metal building. You've gotta have air conditioning to that. I mean, it's just a window air conditioner right now that barely keeps up. But,
Well, let's say, Cheryl, that they had to remove that building in order to do the road construction that needs to be changed out there.
mhm.
If we were to put a nice camper there with the air conditioning,
Camper isn't gonna work. You typically only have an aisle, in some kind of camper or something, unless you're
about
gonna have.
just we'll get her a
Excuse me,
trailer
Heidi,
with some
I'm
windows.
not, I haven't interrupted you. You've got a couple people that are gonna be in there. And, to squeeze around each other constantly and all that kind of
well, I
stuff.
think it depends on
I
if
mean,
it has to
A
slide
little
out.
construction trailer or something that is open and you can set it up the way you
Like-
need to,
okay.
but not a camper with a sink and all that.
A bathroom,
Kind of
God
stuff.
forbid we have a bathroom.
Well,
Just
they would like to
Construction
have.
trailers have nothing.
I
but
mean,
bombs
sometimes
and a
it's
tape.
very busy and there isn't hardly time to walk over to the bathhouse and use the bathroom. So we did talk about, and Andrew provided information about a handicap accessible bathroom.
So
Size-wise.
depending on what type of mobile structure, either portable office building or camper or whatever.
There's certain things that
There's things that we could do. We wouldn't have to spend the 70,000 right away to build a structure. Matter of fact, I think that would be a bad decision.
At one time, I know a representative of the tribe encouraged us to apply for a 2% grant for a ranger station.
and we have the July coming up. So there's time to apply for 2%
Sure.
grant. To put an appropriate ranger station in instead of what we've been dealing with for the last 20 years.
So there's a 20-foot, which is basically length is 20 foot, its width is 8, my height is 8. And it's air conditioning, it's $279 for 4 weeks.
Yep. It's
Um,
called a construction hut.
Yeah, there's things that these are what they consider mobile construction, but there's also mobile office that are much nice. I mean,
Right, right.
Sure,
but-
yeah.
But I'm just saying at a base level, approximately $300.
It's good. It is gonna be pretty sad to see that little hut go though.
Well, and
Because
there's
there's been such a
things,
fixture there and it's,
yeah, and there's things in there that need to be moved out. There's some two tall cabinets in there that house a bunch of paperwork, forms, boat passes. Those things are gonna need to be removed from there, as well as the contents of those cabinets so that they can be reused in a new ranger station. So.
well, they would need to go into the temporary structure also.
Everything would
not?
just
Yeah,
go from
well,
one
they
to the
would,
other.
yes, they would need to go in there. I'm just saying you can't just go out there and, demo the thing as it sits there right now.
He just gave you a solution that's
I'll
temporary.
make a motion to, no, Cheryl, no. I'll make a motion to donate the existing ranger station to the Bennett family if they remove.
So cute.
If they remove it.
If they
Yeah.
remove it.
Second.
Okay.
No.
So I understand your attachment to it. Yes, it is a cute little building.
Can you imagine the deer blind that would make?
It's, I have the perfect place to put it too.
Really, you know, we could even sweeten the pot.
You know, my husband would kill me. He doesn't even like me coming home from the cleanup day with stuff, so I
Okay,
had
so,
to not do that.
so what else have we forgot to review here? So I'm just quickly reviewing the list that Linda Slopesma provided. And she has questions about the fourth ramp, but I think we've kind of covered that. And I think we've kind of covered that we are going to for sure put in the infrastructure for the boat wash.
Right. In the fourth lane.
Yeah.
And we built in 15% for contingencies for
Yep.
change orders. And we put the sunk costs in, accounted for the sunk costs of F&B for the 53,000.
So let's start subtracting from that number. So we've already paid F&B, we'll say 30,000. We paid them a little more, some change. But we don't know how much more they will charge. So do we just want to hold them to the original contract agreement, or what's the board's feeling there?
Well, yeah, we have a contract with them for a certain price.
I would expect that we're gonna get billed $52,165.
That's what I would think.
Well, yeah,
So we can subtract about 30K off of that. All right.
That's already been paid.
Yep.
Yep.
Have we made any other payments to your knowledge, Cheryl, towards this number?
not to my knowledge. We haven't paid any contractors.
So that brings us to $725,933.90
You added up.
approximately.
I thought you were subtracting.
Thought we were subtracting, you added up.
No, it was 755. Because it was 685,933, then the 70,000 for the ranger station took it to 755,933. Then minus the 30,000 that has already been paid to F&B estimate, takes it down to 725.
But here again, that's not part of this. I hate to get off on these tangents of other things because it's not part of this bid. It's not part of the contract with the state of Michigan. And we don't know where the funding is going to come from for that.
For what, Cheryl? What are you referring to?
For the ranger station.
Oh, okay.
We don't know. I don't know why we're adding that in to this. It's really not part of this discussion. That's a separate item. We may be able to get some grants for that. And we don't have any, well, we do have the engineer's estimate.
I think what we need to do is we need to just talk about the cost for phase one.
Yeah, me too.
Well, it
Because
does,
ranger station, I think, is going to be phase two.
it does kind of speak to what the total commitment is going to be though.
Sure.
Right. And so that's all the reason for establishing this number.
And you still have
And
to
by
put
the
a
time
cost
you get
in
to
there
doing
because
that,
you're
it
moving
might
the
cost
ranger
more than
station
that.
out of the way. You still got to put a cost in for your rental ranger station because you're moving the other one out of the way.
And I don't know, maybe it's possible that that ranger station could be moved to a new location. It could be drugged to a new location if it was put on some kind of
It might be able to
skid
crane it over like. to
or
America.
something like, I don't know about picking it up, but in the air too far, but
Well, I think that'd
Yeah.
be safer than dragging it.
well, no, you'd have to put something under it, like the way they move houses, you'd have to put something under it to move it, but I think we're getting off of whether we're gonna award a bid to Mullen or what's gonna happen here.
So.
We-
725 minus 200 is 525. Let's call it 526, just for round numbers. Is what the township is gonna have to come up with.
Estimated.
Estimated, yep, and this would be a new ranger station included, right? And so, what was the number that was moved from Park and Recs over to general fund? Was that
Yeah,
about,
I
I
put that together last night. Hang on a second, let me get up there.
think it was 340 something, wasn't it?
Thought it was.
I got the numbers, just a moment.
Okay,
Well, you had a memo to us about
Right.
that in the
Sure,
last.
I
board doc,
wrote the
think.
numbers down.
Thank you.
Park fund on. Bear with me now. Park fund on 131-23 equal $56,204.75. That's what's currently sitting there after the
Mhm.
transfer.
Yep.
Park funds transferred to general ledger or general fund on 12/31/22 was $325,894.19. That's broke down from two different things, right, guys? General
yep.
checking and money market.
Mhm. All right,
You
so,
don't want those numbers, right?
so
No, just as
Yeah.
ballpark.
So if we take 325 away from 526. Can we call it 201?
Yep.
So over the next 2 years, we gotta come up with $201,000 from various sources.
But that's the amount of the grant.
No,
Is
we
to-
already subtracted the grant.
And that's, none of those monies include the grant money of the 200,000.
Yes,
Yes, they do, because you
Yep.
started at 755.
No, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the park.
Oh,
fund money
correct.
That's there
Yeah.
now.
yeah, totally agree. So we have to come up as a board with a couple $100,000 to make this project happen in totality. New ranger station, the whole thing. I think that's a feasible thing to do.
I think it's doable within a 2-year period of time, especially if we're actively looking for grants.
Yep. That's my feeling. Heidi, your thought?
It's a chunk of change, but if you can do this correctly, you could regain your costs pretty quickly. You know, if you have to borrow or you have to take something from contingency. If you increase some services at the park, you could clean up.
Well, the park for the last, I don't know, 8 years or so, maybe more, has been steadily making profit, as you can see by the amount of money that we.
And
Have
just think what you could add
accumulated.
if you added a few more services. I'm
I don't
talking
think we're
like
gonna see a
vending
big
machine.
increase this year simply because of the construction going on.
Yeah, I would anticipate a little dip.
Yeah, but it won't, I honestly don't believe it's gonna be all that much. Because the construction on the boat launch isn't scheduled to start until September.
Right.
So we're still gonna have the boat traffic coming in, so I don't think we're gonna lose a whole lot of revenue in boat passes. And if we get our reservation system up and running, I think we're gonna have a pretty full year again this year. Our park is well liked.
Cheryl, what's your thought about $200,000 over the next couple of years to finish up this project and construct a ranger station that is yet to be determined? Do you think that's a doable thing?
Well, first, let me say that we came up with $524,290.35 for the work that we are maybe going to ask Mullen Excavating to do. You wanted to add a 15%, just taking that number, the 524,300, and subtracting the money that was transferred to the general fund, which is the call it 326.
Mhm.
Okay, adding the 326 and the $200,000 from the waterways grant, that gets you to 526.
Yep.
That covers the basic bid. It does not, however, cover the contingency.
Or a ranger
So-
station.
No, and I get it, because that is in another phase of the project, as is the actual purchase of a boat wash unit.
Not necessarily.
Well,
Again,
This is.
we're open to
five
donations all the time.
Well,
Yeah, but-
well, we can talk about donations and grants and all that kind of thing. I'm trying to get down to what it's going to cost for the excavation and that stuff, and what money there is already on hand, added, and adding to that, the waterways money. That's covered between the money that's on hand and the waterways grant. So these other things, yes, I think we agreed, we're getting the site prep done. And we're doing the site prep for the boat wash and the 4th lane. So we're getting those things done. And then where do we need to find the money for the boat wash station? We already have 20,000. We're maybe gonna get the rest through some donations or something like that. We don't have a firm figure on that cost. And we can, hopefully we'll get some kind of grant money, maybe from a couple different sources. Probably won't cover 100% of the ranger station, but I don't know that figure, I don't know that I agree with 200,000 for that, but
What was the
So we have
15%?
1%.
so I
Don, what is your
mean,
thought?
I'm not really dissenting with it. I'm just trying to not. I don't think we're really here to talk about the whole project. We don't have all the information to talk
But
about.
I agree that we should. Yes, today we are here to award a bid, but by talking about what comes next after you award the bid and looking at numbers as much as you have available information to you, gives us as a group an idea of where we're going in the future.
And how we're gonna get there.
So I have a question. The 15% contingency, what was that dollar amount you estimated?
So I just multiplied by one.
It was roughly $78,000.
I don't know about
It was
that. I got-
$524,000 times
I
1.15,
Yeah.
took it to like 603. So it was like 75,000, 76,000.
Don, is 200,000 doable over the next couple of years?
I agree, and I'm hearing, it's just two different conversations. I do agree with Cheryl's assessment in terms of the base bid and the Mullen work. The only thing I think you're lacking is we don't know what the change orders are, but we don't. And if the 15%, the extra 75,000, that's neither here, that's the only difference I see in your numbers. I understand the rest of the conversation, because I think as a citizen, I don't think it's fair to leave the citizens thinking this is a $525,000 project, because it's not. It's going to cost us more.
Yeah.
And, we build it and then everybody says, well, now you need this and you need this. Why wasn't that discussed? Why are you spending money on that? Why didn't you address that up front? And
Address everything.
And I'm saying, we've covered the possible numbers that are in there. It's approximately $200,000 that the citizens can expect above and beyond the base bid. And here are the reasons why we did. Now, to Cheryl's point, we don't have hard cost estimates on some of these things, so it's gonna come and go. That's a long way of me saying, yes, I agree with the 200,000 that we're going to have to spend, and we're gonna have to figure out how to fund. And, if it ends up being less, great, but I think we've looked at it from a conservative approach, and I think the 200,000 is probably a good number.
And I think I agree with most of my colleagues that futuring, conceptual plans, master planning, whatever you want to call it. We've come up with a dollar number of, in today's dollars, that seems reasonable for us to complete over the next couple of years. Yeah, sure.
And actually, Don wasn't here at the time and neither was Heidi, but we started this project back in 2019. And Fleece and Vandenbrink did a conceptual plan that includes numerous other elements.
That were
Of
eliminated.
dedicated pavilion parking, a new pavilion, possible movement of the beach, you know, some other things. That is the total finger piers, you know, some different things. That was where we started 4 years ago, was with that total conceptual plan. So these things today, Ranger Station, Boat Wash, those don't even take into account other things that, you know, were suggested. And we had a public input session on this, that were suggested, new, improvements out there.
Yeah, I think. what
So
we're
we
doing-
can keep going on that discussion, you know, if you want to include
Oh,
everything.
No, I
But-
don't think we need to, because I think
Right.
we all know that at least I feel like this is just the beginning of upgrading that area down there. We're starting with health, safety and welfare here. By those docks are that dock is dangerous. It needs to be upgraded. The road situation coming in and out, that's a hazard. And the parking's a hazard, and boat wash is needed because of the invasive species. So I think we're starting with maintenance that probably should have been done all along, or done one project a year. We're doing it all at once, but we have the opportunity because
keep
of this
going.
$200,000 waterways grant, the 20,000 from Grand Traverse Band to help with the boat washing. We have capital that we didn't have before. And, you know, we've been very responsible with the park fund. And it's built up a nice accumulation dollar amount there. The numbers that I just went through, if we're just talking about the base bid amount and adding the contingency.
So what was your number for the base bid now? So you have a motion out there for 484,727 and some pennies,
Yeah, let me get to it.
okay? And then we talked about the desire to add A and B of the content of the alternate
And
Mhm.
see.
and D and E, which I now have a number at 524, 290, 35.
That's what I have.
Is
for
that
the
what you
base
have?
bid amount.
Same here.
And then adding the
got.
78,000 for contingency.
So let's, okay, so in that number, I calculated out as 602, 933.90. And to
Oh,
Cheryl,
see, I went straight 78,000.
okay.
Yeah,
that's
in our
fine.
conversation, I just
Yeah.
rounded, but
Okay.
yeah,
So,
My number's a little different than yours because I went with a straight number.
Sure.
But
In-
looking at it this way, Ron, let's say that even if we want my numbers, the 602,29035,
Yeah.
you take the $200,000 grant off from that,
it comes
How-
up with about 400,000.
and then you take the 325,894.19 that's in the
Mhm.
current park transfer.
Yep.
You come down to 76,396.16. But wait, we got a $20,000 grant that we
Mhm.
can use towards this project for the boat washing. So it comes down to 56,396.16. We could have it.
This
fully-
year.
This year, we could have it fully funded.
Totally right there with you.
great.
So, I mean, that feels,
It's a warm and fuzzy feeling.
it feels good that we've ran through these numbers, that we've taken the time to do this. The next phase, that's another set of
Mhm.
papers with numbers,
Yeah, it is.
you know.
Yeah, but it seems conceivable
Yeah.
at this point, plausible, whatever you want to say. So in your original motion, would you think about considering changing that motion to be 524,290.35.
Do we not want to add the contingency in?
So adding the contingency to their bid
Oh,
number.
we're not adding to their bid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be uncomfortable with that, but for our internal planning.
Right.
I'd be
purposes,
okay with that.
We have already come to understand that, this looks fishy, whatever. And so we're protecting ourselves by adding that 15%, right?
Right.
So,
Contract amount would not be with the 15%.
correct. Yeah.
Right. I see what he's saying.
Can I just-
Yes, I would be comfortable changing my bid or my motion from the 484, 727, 71 to the 524, 429.35. Or we can just go
Negative.
That was 290.
It was fine.
290. Did I?
You said 490.
You said 429. So it was your number that we all agreed was correct, Ella, was 524, 290.35.
Yes,
Agreed. Heidi, is that what you?
Yep.
Okay.
concur.
I just have one, I want to clarify something. On the boat wash. On 2/6/2023. We were given estimated costs on that. And the water-based project's 24/7 and the CD3 is 48,000. I just want to clarify that because the private citizen took a lot of time to do this. And she did give us numbers. It's not like she didn't give us any numbers.
And was that kind of like a recount of what Lake Leelanau did?
Yep,
Yeah, so that included their hardware and all of that. And that was an operational unit. We're sitting at about 20 grand, 19 and some heavy change. Don provided that. number.
19,100.
Yeah, 19,100. Thank you. So we're right in that ballpark. And we've got 8 inches of base and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
because
At any rate,
it takes.
this included signage also, FYI, and the DNR permits.
The 20,000 can be, it has, in all practicality, is eaten up with the construction of
Mhm.
the base itself. Putting it together before the hardware.
I
actually
get
comes
that,
in.
I get that.
Yep.
I mean, if we do have, riparian groups that want to help continue, contribute to that, that's wonderful, that's great, but in the meantime, we can also start looking for alternative funds, ways to fund.
But the
For the
nice thing
boat
is, the
wash.
nice thing is the prep work's done and we're ready to
Yes.
go.
Yes,
Okay. So are we all then kind of in agreement that the 524,290.35 to Molon is what we want to go with? And that includes all of the base bid numbers 1 through 19 as supplied on the summary document. I don't think there was a date on that document. Oh, there it is,
Yeah,
11/3. Yep. And in addition to items 1 through 19, we are also going to add under the alternate bid prices, line item A, line item B, site prep for the boat wash station, line item D, which would be the 11 additional planks for the 4th lane, and line item E, additional concrete 8-inch approach for that 4th lane. And that is how we arrived at the 524,290.35 number.
I would agree.
Okay, I want to ask a question here. Are you taking the $20,000 from the tribe that you received as a grant in 2021 and doing the pad? Or are you saving that for the boat wash?
That
So-
was for the boat wash unit.
Okay, I just want to make sure because you got to use that for what it's for. So if it's the boat wash unit, then you're going to get your $20,000 somewhere else for your pad, correct?
No,
No.
it was kind of my intention, and I think the intention of this discussion,
I don't think you can change it.
don't think you can change what?
It was for a boat wash station, part of the boat. You can't have the equipment sitting there on dirt.
I completely get it. So if your grant is the equipment, your pad is
It doesn't
coming.
say specifically equipment, it says boat wash.
Cheryl,
I'd like to see that grant, please.
Of the grant.
I'm sure I do.
Could I have
but
So-
to
I
see it,
don't have it
please?
right now.
Just
Here.
thinking. That the intention, I think, and this is a slippery slope, but commenting, I would think that the boat wash station, even if they called out specifically a CD3 on the quote, that money that the tribe graciously provided covered a portion of that unit. And
Okay.
I think by advancing our knowledge about what's available and hearing from tribal folks this morning in public comment that as long as we initiate this boat wash station, whether CD3 or otherwise, they're happy that we're using the funds for the protection of the water. That was my feeling from what we heard from
But I think we're.
Carolyn.
Okay, I think you've confused them. I think that's why this is so. This is why everybody's talking about the boat launch right now, because you've created a diffusion, a confusion that you're gonna use that 20 grand for the pad. And now they've got to come up with another 20 grand for the unit.
No,
Where
Why
if
do you
your
think
grant
that's
says it's the mechanicals of the boat wash, you have to follow what you wrote your grant for.
I think we have some leeway with the tribe. Board, what's your thought on that?
I've seen some really bad things happen with that comment you just made, but okay.
I mean, absent reading the grant, I agree
Right.
with you. What I heard from Caroline this morning, Randberger, I think was her last name. I think she expressed heartfelt stop invasive species. And I think if it's 20 for the equipment and 20 for the site prep and it's 40,000, I don't think that the tribe says that is going to qualm and say, do the boat wash, here's 20,000 toward it. They have generously contributed. I think they're behind it.
It
And
depends
how
what
it
it's-
gets
Hold on,
earmarked,
hold on.
how it get earmarked. Maybe the grant says it, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I don't get that feeling. I just think this is going to be workable. Whether we do the pad and they pay for the equipment, or they pay for the pad and we pay for the equipment. It's just two nickels of the same type. Just get it done.
The pad is a part of the boat wash.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Any equipment you attach to it is attaching to it.
Yes.
So what would be their point of saying it can only be spent on a piece of equipment that you have no place to put?
Correct.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Cheryl, what was your thought?
Well, I think we just pull out the award letter and see exactly what it says, and instead of
I think we should do that.
beating around,
So can
wasting
you
a
pull
bunch
it
of
out,
time
Cheryl,
on,
please?
well, maybe it says this and maybe it says this. I think we just pull it out and not
So-
right this moment.
Right,
That's- Was
so-
not part of this.
Would you get that for us?
Yeah, yeah.
When your office is
Yep.
available?
Yep.
And so would it be fair to say that board consensus would be still that even though Heidi's brought up a challenge, we'll say to the grant process? And I understand federal grants are really strict. We just went through it with broadband and I'm concerned, I'm frightened for a lot of townships.
Well, that's why I split it and did what I did, because I figured out how the grants work. You guys, I've sat in these meetings, but you guys, you do whatever you want.
Thanks for sending it out.
So I'm wondering.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
beat it to death pretty
Yeah.
much.
I'd agree.
So I'm wondering, guys, should we change this motion to include the base bid of items 1 through 19 plus the alternate A, B, D, and E?
for a total of 524, 290.
Oh, just
Should we
describe,
be
descripting
more
those.
specific on the,
I think we should. I
Oh,
think we
that's
should-
an idea.
Cheryl, what do you? I think that's a great idea so that Mullen knows exactly
Yeah.
what we approved.
Okay.
I think that's an awesome idea.
So wordsmithing the motion that's out there, Cheryl. What makes sense?
Well, we actually, Bella actually did say phase one. So that does include the 1 through 19. And I think it could just be, changed to award Mullen Excavating the bid for phase one of the Whitewater Township Park Improvement Project cost.
So after phase one,
Plus-
we put items 1 through 19.
How about plus, alternate bid, price bids, section 3.02, item numbers A, B, D, and E?
I mean,
that too much?
alternate. I mean, I guess you could, yeah, I guess you could
See, by leaving the boat wash.
word
out,
it that way,
It
but
just-
I'm gonna need a minute to type
Sure.
that all out.
And so just a minor correction to what you said, maybe line item
Oh, sure.
A, B, D, and E.
Then if
Okay,
somebody's-
so to award Mullen Excavating the bid for phase one. Then you wanna have parentheses, items 1 through 19,
Sure.
okay, and then as well as, can we say items A, B, D, and E?
Mhm.
As well as,
Alternate options line.
alternate price bids A, B, D, and E
Yes.
Sure.
of the Whitewater Township Park Improvement project for a total cost of, and that would be the
24, 290,
535
5, yes.
at a cost, okay, and then Della also had in her motion based on the recommendations of Fleece and Vandenbrink Engineering Firm.
So
So do you want me to read the whole thing again?
the only thing I didn't hear there was where the phase one line items 1 through 19, and then the alternate bid prices came from. Would that be the bid tabulation provided by F and V dated 11/3?
Well, and also
How could it be
something I think
11/3?
we,
Well, they just used a form. If you look at, I'm looking at the Mullins bid and there's 1 through 19 in there that totals the 461, doesn't
Oh, I
include
see.
the 2390, and then alternate bid prices are A, B, D, and E. It lines up with the bid package. Yeah, I think what they did is they just didn't change a date. They had the
Mhm.
original for their forecast and then just
Yeah.
dropped in all those numbers.
So you're right, Don. We should reference the actual Molon bid, as well as the change letter.
So you want the breakdown in the motion?
Well, I think if somebody who followed us went to the Molon bid, they would see a number of
Discrepancy.
436 or whatever it was.
461, they're not gonna see the 23,900. That's a separate letter.
Right.
So the bid with the 484, 727, 71, that includes the change. You want to break that out, show that separate?
well,
Oh,
that,
I wasn't suggesting, it. I was just saying that I answered his question that the numbers on this Fleece and Vanderbrink, that document erroneously dated 11/3/2022. Those numbers match the bid actually submitted by Mullen. So I'm just saying, where do we want to go with referencing a document?
Well, if you want, we can actually do the breakout.
So what would be wrong with, if we, simply indicated that it was Molan's bid dated whatever, in combination with their correction letter dated February 13th, as recommended by our F&V. And then we just leave the summary sheet completely out of, we're actually referring to the bid document. Seems to me like that would be very,
And
Concise.
their bid document is dated January 30th, 2023. Where their wet signatures are and the date that the bid is dated January 30th.
Can somebody please at this table just make a comment here and tell the people that you're not taking the boat wash out of the equation. You're just taking this boat wash, the mechanicals out of Molan's bid. Can somebody just say that, please?
I think we already did. We've
But
said
you-
it several
okay,
times.
I think we've
No,
said it
they're
three-
still
3 or
confused.
5 different ways.
Yeah.
I
Already.
understand.
You've said it, you've said it.
Yeah.
You've said it, I've said it.
I get it.
So that
Sec-
everybody in Zoom understands, we are not eliminating the boat wash. We have no intentions of eliminating the boat wash. We're just talking about how we're going to allocate the money.
Thank
It
you.
will be in this space.
Because we set up for as soon as you admitted it, off that
Thank
chart,
you.
we made more confusion.
Well, I,
Can we get back to the motion here?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So Bella's making a motion to, it's really accepting, not awarding. It's accepting. Do you agree with that change?
no, I like.
No,
we're-
That's a word. Yeah.
Award a bid.
Yeah.
Okay, well, really, you're awarding a contract, but, okay. To award Mullen Excavating, the bid for
Phase 1,
phase 1,
items 1 through 19.
Bid dated.
accept the bid, to award the bid dated,
January 30th, 2023.
okay. For phase 1,
Items 1 through 19.
items 1 through 19,
As well as.
alternate price bids, A, B, D, and E. Or did before that, you want to add, or do you want to put this 461 and then the additional 23.9? Is that what I was following from the conversation?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's where we landed to add.
Phase
to-
1, items 1
If
through
I
9.
may make a
That's fine, it
recommendation,
came-
I think that the best place to put this correction document is directly after the bid. And so Cheryl has currently something, award bid dated of Mullen Excavating in combination with correction letter dated February 13th,
Yep.
2023.
Okay, so after the
Better.
date, we need to say in combination.
Well, no,
I mean, I'm just making a suggestion.
In conjunction?
well, after the date, you originally had for phase 1, items 1 through
I-
19.
I get that, but Ron's saying that we need to reference the update letter.
You do, because you got a
Yeah.
blank spot on the top of the bid.
I'm in total agreement with that. The only thing we're trying to hash out here is exactly how it's gonna be worded.
Right. And conjunction is just something that rolled out of my mouth. I apologize.
Okay, so
there's
award
a better
Mullen
term.
Excavating the bid dated 1/30/2023 for phase 1, items 1 through 19. Plus, and do you want to put that price, the 461,034.71, and then we say plus
So it'd
the,
be at a cost of, and you put the dollar amount in there.
at a cost of 461,034.71 plus the
Correction letter dated,
February 13th, 2023,
in the amount of,
$23,900.
okay, I got that,
0 cents.
as well as alternate price bids A, B, D, and E. Okay, so we need that total cost.
that is $39,562.64.
39,562.64. at a cost of $39,562.64 of the Whitewater Township Park Improvement Project. And then we had in there for a total cost of $524,290.35 based on the recommendation of Gleason Van Brink Engineering Firm.
Yes.
Is that it?
Does that sound okay?
Sounds pretty good. Let's hear it back at,
Yeah, let's hear it
At
all.
3/4 speed.
now.
Motion by Bennett to award Molon Excavating the bid dated 1/30/2023 for phase one, items 1 through 19 at a cost of $461,034.71 plus the correction letter dated 2/13/23 in the amount of $23,900, as well as alternate price bids A, B, D, and E at a cost of $39,562.64 of the Whitewater Township Park Improvement Project for a total cost of $524,290.35 based on the recommendation of Gleason Van Brink Engineering Firm. That's the motion.
and who was the original seconder?
I
Is that-
was, and I will resecond it.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Roll call when ready.
Baumuth,
Yes. Unusual.
Bennett,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Goss, yes. So is the next step that this motion gets forwarded to Andrew and Rick, and they prepare contract documents, or that is the next step on the contract after attend bid opening, prepare tabulation, and make recommendation for contractor selection and bid tabulation approval to the township and MDNR. The next step is upon award, which we just did, prepare contract documents and submit to Waterways Program and Township for final approval.
So all we need to do is submit this motion to F and V. Is that what you
I
read?
think so.
Yeah.
I think they
Right.
have, they have, like every other engineering firm, on the shelf contract documents, and they're gonna plug in the things, and then they're gonna send that to us, and the, and maybe our attorney looks it over and all that. Probably our attorney looks it over. It's a contract of substantial amount. And, DNR's gotta approve it too.
And back to board for final approval. Okay,
Do you want me to send that to him?
you'll
Because I
probably
can cut
type
and
it up.
paste it right out
right?
of this. I'm just gonna cut and paste it right out of this. I got it all right here.
Would
Whatever.
you
Yeah.
do that for the board?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you. And can you just send us all the email? that you sent?
I'll copy everyone on it.
Excellent.
And you will get us a copy of that grant, correct?
I already said that earlier.
Thank you.
Okay. So the second item we set or added to the agenda was to set a date to review some legal opinions that came in. I don't even know if there's 1 page or 10 pages, quite frankly. Chris Patterson is not available till the 9th to discuss it, our March 9th special meeting. And
I thought that was March 8th.
Well,
Hold on, I wrote them in here and I just put them on my calendar. It's the
it's
8th.
Wednesday, the 8th. Yep. So, maybe I got the 9th from Chris's email, But Jacob is available on February 21st or 22 to go into a closed session. Both of those are already regularly scheduled meetings.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Is this his forte?
Well, now isn't, if I could just interject here, isn't Matt the one that's involved with this? Not Jacob on this?
That's why
particular
I'm
opinion?
asking the question.
Isn't it Matt? I mean, I might be mistaken. I'm thinking
So that's the
Maybe
danger
that's-
in reading emails very quickly. Okay. And so Cheryl, I think you were copied in on.
I
Oh,
know, but I
excuse me.
haven't read anything.
I
this
made a
morning.
mistake, Cheryl. You are right. It is Matthew that said
Right,
he's available on the 21st and 22nd. Yep, my mistake. Matthew.
right.
Yep. We have too many closed sessions. So it's up to the board.
I
You know-
say we get to it one of those 2 days and not wait till March.
Yeah, I
Eight.
agree.
I agree as well.
Yeah.
And
So, and I have not noticed either of those yet. That's something I need to get done today. So I think we just pick one of those. I don't have a preference and so I can add it to the notice.
I don't
Closed
think,
session on,
I don't think either one of those are a Monday, right?
No,
Correct.
they're both, 21st is a
Yeah.
Tuesday and 22nd is Wednesday, but somebody had a restriction on one of the times, didn't they?
I'm
Like,
looking at it.
I
right
do.
now.
So I have an appointment that can't be missed. And I need to leave here by 3 on the 21st.
God, I pray we're not here that long.
In Ardella or
I'll light a candle with you.
somebody had a.
Me, I gotta leave at 3. On the 22nd, I gotta leave at 3. Otherwise, the 21st, I'm.
I
good.
have a doctor's appointment on the 22nd and the 23rd during the afternoon, like. And I say we put
See,
it
I'm
as the
working.
first, I say we put it as the first matter on the 21st. Because then we get
Perfect.
that out of the way and the budget work session, like you say, not everybody has to be here for
Right.
all of that.
Yep.
But we'll probably just end it anyways, but
So
I think that's a good solution.
Matthew's email reads, I'm available mornings, 21st and 22nd February.
You know, both those meetings, we said 9 to 3.
Yep, so I like the idea of 9 AM.
On the
Yeah.
21st.
Yeah, and so.
Yep.
I'll have Matthew send us you normally like to have a motion to go into closed session. is
well,
that
it's
right?
required.
Well, you normally like the attorney to draft up the motion.
Well, I
to go.
do because they want it very specific to make sure we
Yeah.
comply with the law.
Yeah, no problem. So I'll let Matthew know that the 21st is the date. I'll also ask him for the motion to go into closed session,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And I will ask him for a link to be sent to, I guess you and I, Cheryl,
Right.
for that Zoom connection.
Right.
That should not affect the notices because we're not gonna
Oh,
display
no,
that
no,
anyway.
no, we wouldn't display
Don't
that.
shoot me later. I'm going by your house.
I just need to know that we're putting that as the
Internet.
first agenda item and I
Might be
get
able
that
to get
notice.
something
done.
turned.
Yeah, well, if you pull in my driveway, don't be alarmed by the dogs acting like they're gonna come through the window at you.
Well, no, I won't.
They're
I'm just gonna be
they're all
on the
barking,
road.
that's funny.
I'm just on the road.
So that's board consensus, the 21st.
Yeah, it works for me.
Good. Thank you. So that then brings us to board comments or discussions.
I just have one. We really did kind of confuse the people if we were taking it out or putting it in or taking the boat wash. So that's why I needed a clarification because I sat here and thought, if I'm listening to this, it sounded like, because they're not looking at papers in front of them. It sounded like we were kind of removing it and thinking about it later. So I understand the confusion. We just have to be careful that we keep the public not confused and we keep them on the same page as what we're doing. That's all I have.
And is there any public comment from here in the township hall?
Oh, podium, they can't hear you otherwise.
Maybe at this time, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Jane Roll, and I'm a tribal counselor with the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa Chippewa Indians.
Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Joan, Jane, I'm sorry. Thinking of Joe.
We have a complete, a complete buffet set up in the back. But that was yesterday.
Yeah, sorry you're late.
Yeah. Thank you, Jane, for taking the time to be with us today, and as well as the gracious grant towards the boat wash station.
Thank you very much.
So let's travel out to Zoomland. Oh, lots of hands. Okay, good morning, Vern. Yep, we're still morning. Public comment, please.
Yeah, at least for another 15 minutes or so. I appreciate what you guys are doing and the open dialogue that you guys are having. I also know that I understand that the board doesn't participate in these Zoom meetings, but they are extremely important to us that we can, hear what's going on and so forth. And from an administrative perspective, there's a feature on Zoom that's called chat. And it used to be that the administrator, AKA Lois, you could either send a message directly to her or you could have a message to all of the Zoom land people. Well, that feature to send it out to all the people has been eliminated recently. And I'd like to see that feature re-enabled so that we can have some dialogue amongst the Zoom participants and not be, sheltered from that. And as a result of that, what I found out was that, when Lois made copies of that document from Cheryl and passed it out to you guys, I sent a note and I was told, and I said, can you please provide that to us? And I was told via Zoom that I should go look at it in the board meeting minutes. Well, I have no idea what was shared. So I have no idea what to look for. So I would like to ask the board in your meeting minutes, if you could please provide a copy of that document along with some of the other documents that you guys have been reviewing. And it's kind of so that we as a people can see where, what's being discussed in that. And as part of that, I'm sure as Cheryl made note that she's going to, document this and send it to the contractor. And I would like to echo what Heidi said is I've been writing down numbers left and right, and I can't figure out what was added and what was not added and so on and so forth. And you're going to probably have to break it all down, itemize it all out and saying, this is what's included, this is what's not included. And if you can please provide that in the meeting minutes so that we can see what there is, and then also understand what the risk is going forward from a financial perspective. And I'm hoping that that's something that you can do, because I have no idea what's included in that 524K number. And I'm sure everybody else on this Zoom meeting is probably as confused as I am. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Board, could I just maybe make a comment here? Please. It would be inappropriate generally, but I would like to invite anybody who is confused to contact any board member.
Could do that.
And if they didn't have a copy of today's packet, which I think includes the bid summary, it probably doesn't include, I know it doesn't include the actual bid documents, but is there a problem forwarding the actual bid documents to people? I mean, the summary says it all, in my opinion, but
Well, my only suggestion on that is, why don't we take a pause and gather the information and put it all in one place?
okay,
Just the stuff that's pertinent to what we've done today, not every single document we've ever
Yeah,
gotten.
every single
because
boat launch document, because we really confused people doing that.
That's overwhelming when you see it repeated over and over again, and maybe there was a paragraph that was changed.
Nor our conceptual plan, right?
Correct,
Because
that's what I'm
really
saying.
what we
This is
approved,
none of the conceptual stuff. This is actually what we decided on.
okay,
And
All right.
that way it's clear, it's concise, they can see it from, and they can see the bid process, they can see it all.
Well, and I would just say that in the packet for today is the bid summary.
Yeah.
The document that we spent a ton of time talking about with the phase one and the alternate price bids, that's in the board packet for today. As well as the letter from Molon with the additional $23,900. That stuff's already on the website.
But I think they also want to see the,
but for those out there, they may not have context, right? All of us have context about it, right?
They might not.
So I think that's probably the stopgap is what is the bid summary?
Well, and the motion's gonna be in the minutes and it's gonna reference
I'm just
those
saying,
numbers.
all that stuff we have out on our webpage, take it all off and put one document out there that shows
Exactly.
what
we're
we
doing.
decided on today.
Okay.
Just all in one thing. So they go in there and it started here and here we are. Here's the conceptual drawings. Here's what we're doing. Here's the drawings that we've agreed upon. Here's the, the documents that are pertinent to what we did today.
The project manual that we just got, January 2023, is already on the website. I put
Right,
that on
along
there
with a bunch
yesterday.
of other ones.
Along with, well, the old ones I don't want to delete because I
Right.
don't know if people want to refer to those, so I'm not gonna delete those. I'm just saying that,
But that's where all the confusion is coming from. They're running back and forth. It doesn't matter what it was. This is what we decided.
it's in the
on.
board packet and that's all on the same page. All the documents that we discussed
think it's
today are
just a-
on the same page.
I think it's just a,
Courtesy.
well, it's a courtesy and not everybody has attended every meeting like we have, right?
Exactly.
And so it's all about what you perceive. Lois, you had a question?
Yeah, that Lois handed out.
Yeah,
It was the 2 pages that was copied and handed out. And that can be included? Is that any part of your thing?
so the document that was handed out mid-meeting
Right. The two
really
pages.
was just for our conceptual planning and involved how we arrived at $70,000 for the ranger station. But we can provide that document.
I
It was not
they didn't
used
get
in
to
today-
See it.
It was not used in today's decision, nor is it included in today's value.
No.
But it helped us understand what our project commitment was going to be as a board
How we
and
got
whether or not we were prepared to find those funds. Okay, so thank you.
And
for
I would
the-
agree with
thank you for
Cheryl.
the
I don't
question.
take anything down. Just, leave all that stuff up there. Just put a summary up there at the end. That, I think, people want to go back and reference the old stuff, that's fine. But I think, a summary of what's been decided here is most important.
We will try and get that up. Hello, Linda.
Hello. So I have a couple final comments here. I want to respond to a comment that Clerk Goss made early on in the meeting about that invasives don't just come through the boat launch. I have attended more than 5 Eagle and DNR training sessions on invasive species as part of my role as part of the environmental committee for Elk Skegumog Lake Association. And I think it is important that every one of you understand per the state of Michigan environmental folks, the primary path by which invasive species enter our lakes and streams is via trailered boats. That is not my opinion. That is what the state of Michigan states from their experts. The next thing I would like to say after listening to your entire meeting is we absolutely must focus on having an operational boat launch with all of the equipment in place by the time you open the launch in the spring of 2024. I hope every one of you is committed to that. In order for us to accomplish this, it is important that you understand that you need to immediately apply for a water discharge exemption through the DNR for your wash pad. The turnaround time, according to the Cadillac office DNR rep, is that the state of Michigan has 180 days to respond to your request. You are the property owner, therefore you are the one that must apply. I cannot apply for you. I am happy to help you with the contacts and even give you the form, but somebody on this board has to fill out the form. The next thing I'd like to say is that I am happy to help do whatever work is required to get this mechanical work in place. And the rest of Elk Skagamog will help that as well. But I really need a member from the board to work with me on this. I can't continue to have this information batted around by people that don't understand it at board meetings. I need a person on the board to actually collaborate in between the meetings to make sure that the information is understood. So if you could help me with that, I would really appreciate it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Got to push that button. Connie Highmore, still morning.
Good morning still. A couple housekeeping items for you in the hall. We were over an hour into the meeting today and people were still texting me looking for the meeting link. It's unacceptable. I mentioned this last month in a special meeting that people couldn't find the link. I couldn't find the link once. And so it's very frustrating that it's on the welcome page of the website. So I don't know why it's not all on the agenda and minutes tab. It's very frustrating. I can't listen to a meeting and pay attention and take notes when I'm trying to text people telling them how to get to this meeting. The other thing is, bravo to whoever sets up the microphones for board meetings, because you are clearly and wonderfully heard. I don't know if a picture has to be taken of the board there where Zoom is ran, but we don't hear things like this in ZBA meetings, in PC meetings, and Parks and Rec meetings. I don't know how it's set up for today, but it's exactly how it should be set up for the rest of those meetings. And lastly, I heard you talking about change orders to the board about the boat ramp project. This is a project that's supposed to be completed in a limited amount of time. And I'm wondering how you're going to address those changes. Will you be calling special meetings so the contractor can stay on task? This cannot progress like High Prairie Park Playground. This has to be figured out before this project begins. Delays cost money and all of you will be pointing the blame at others. Please work this out. It should be important to all of you. Can I suggest you schedule special meetings weekly, short ones, that you can do a quick progress report and address all change orders that need to be addressed. If Mullen or whoever, Mullen has to wait for a once a month board meeting, this project will fall behind schedule very quickly. So I hope that gets worked out. So there's lots of communication. We all know how High Prairie Park went sideways, and that project is tiny, itty bitty compared to the project you're working on now. I'm excited to see this all come together in a hopefully timely manner. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.
And again, with the board's approval, I'll make a comment to this public statement.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. It was my fault for not putting the Zoom link on the agenda. My fault. I just didn't copy it there. So this particular agenda was developed in our in quite a hurry. We got Andrew's information, I think, on Tuesday after our meeting, or I got it Tuesday after our meeting anyway. So my apologies.
And I will just add to that, that the Zoom links are always in the special meeting notices, and by law, the special meeting notices have to be on the homepage
Yep.
of the township website. So you can always find the Zoom link in the special meeting notice. For regular meetings, you do have to go to the agenda board packet page and call up the agenda packet for that meeting. But for special meetings, they are always on the homepage.
There's no direction to that. That's all, because I couldn't find it either.
Yeah, I understand, and it was my mistake. I wished I didn't have to hurry through a lot of documents, but unfortunately, that is, I made a mistake. So thank you for your understanding. It does. It's happened twice recently. And it looks like we have Mr. Mays. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. My name's Dan Mays. I'm a biologist with Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians. I just want to speak briefly about the work, the boat washing stations. I've written grants for several different boat washing stations, mainly on Lake Leelanau, and we've purchased the CD3 units as well as pressurized systems. And what Linda is doing, and she's done her research, the pressurized systems are the best option, and they're actually more economical than the CD3 unit. We've looked at data usage on the CD3 units, and we're not as impressed. We're actually moving our CD3 unit that we put on Lake Leelanau to a spot that's not conducive to a pressurized system. And yeah, again, I appreciate Linda's work and homework into this. It's a great option.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands up, so I am going to think that is a motion for adjournment, please.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second. I'll give Heidi the second.
There you go.
Yeah. Roll call when ready.
Goss, yes. Valmuth,
Yep.
Glenn,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Motion passes. I'm sorry. Meeting adjourned at 12:03. Yeah.